Welcome to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame in his game because he's always the same.
That's me.
Grumpy, how are you doing this fine Wednesday evening?
Nice. Weather's been really pleasant down by me. Usually this time of year it's hot. It's not. It's been nice and cool. Supposed to be even cooler over the weekend. Just nice.
Well, I mean, how have you been enjoying these NHL semifinals matchups or Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals?
I think the playoffs been a dud this year. From top to bottom, really. I mean, I guess you could say I don't know what series was really good. I mean, it's not like I don't know. It's not been great. I think this will be a Stanley Cup that people don't remember.
Just because of how boring it's been, huh?
Yeah, just nothing spectacular, nothing special. It's going to be Florida and Vegas in the finals, and think about it. There anybody who say, "Hey," I mean, Matt Kachuk, we talk about him here, and Vegas has a couple of guys, but I got to think the NHL's probably not happy with how these playoffs have gone. I mean, is that safe to assume?
I'd agree with that. Grumpy. It's just the fact that it's been such a blowout in both the Eastern Conference and Western Conference. I mean, both series are 3-0 leads for 3-0 lead for the Florida Panthers and a 3-0 lead for the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, the only way I guess I could salvage it is, you're looking at a Stanley Cup playoffs scenario to where both teams have never won a Stanley Cup before. So, right, that's how you market that, I guess.
And Gary Bettman is being recognized by the NHL or somebody for 30 years of service. And the biggest thing he said is his, the spread of hockey, in the southern states. And this is, Vegas, how many years in the league? They've been 5 years in the league. And then Florida, another expansion team. And one of them is going to be a first-time winner of the Stanley Cup. And I guess that's a good thing. But, the NBA is the same thing, right? You look at the NBA, 2 blowout series in the Eastern and Western Conference. I mean, Boston's down 3-1, and Denver swept the Lakers. The NBA didn't want that. They don't want Miami and Denver.
Probably not.
No, absolutely not. But, I mean, that's just the way the playoffs have been this year. It's just been kind of blah, blah, blah. Nothing special, nothing riveting. Say what you will about the NFL. I tell you what, the playoff games are usually pretty exciting.
I think
they make sure that they manipulate the officiating to make sure that happens.
I was about to say that's what they do. They manipulate the officiating in order to go ahead and do so. But it's been a dud for hockey action recently, right? Florida, I mean, they've been taking it. Bobrovsky's been fantastic.
Yes,
they've been taking it to Carolina, and you look at Dallas, you look at Dallas, Grumpy. You're in a spot to where they collapsed in game 2. They had a 1-goal lead, gave up a goal with 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. We talked about it on the show, saying maybe it was either this one or TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. I don't remember which show we talked about it on, but I'm like, you give up a goal in that fashion late in the game and then give up a goal in the first 2 or 3 minutes of overtime. That doesn't bode well for you, even if the next games are at home. And they just got steamrolled, and Jamie Benn gets a suspension, and things get out of hand because they're just frustrated and they've gotten dominated. And they're like, the series is over.
Yeah, they'll probably lose tomorrow.
They'll get swept.
Yeah. And I think Carolina is probably going to get swept today.
Sure.
They put something up on TNT saying that in the round before the Stanley Cup Finals, teams that go down 3-0 are 0-46. It'll be 0-48 in the next couple days.
Yeah, Florida's already up 1-0. So you don't even need – you could turn your TV off, Grumpy. You don't even need to watch that game. That one's going to be over. Florida is not going to lose to the Carolina Hurricanes in this series. But before we get too hot and heavy into talking a little NHL action, if you're new to this channel, this is a twice-a-week all New York Islanders podcast. We go live every single Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, with summer kicking off, we'll be bringing on guests. We'll be bringing on people with opposing viewpoints and kind of talking about, the Islanders, the current state of the Islanders, ways possibly forward. What's the best recommendation? What's the remedy for the New York Islanders? We'll talk about that. So if you're new to the channel, we encourage you to subscribe on YouTube, to like on Facebook, and also to like the video, right? And for Grumpy's sake, you can write 5-star review, because Grumpy likes when he sees people writing 5-star review on the comments. And we also have a secondary podcast called PJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Now, that takes place every single Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every single Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find that podcast in the link in the description below, or as a featured page on our YouTube channel. And that's just an all sports podcast where we talk NHL, NBA, NFL, college athletics, MLB, world football. We talk anything and everything sports on that show. It's hosted by myself, the Grumpy Old Man, and the magnificent Son X. So we get a good time just, shooting the shit and talking sports and talking and having a good time. So make sure you give that a listen tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But that's all of our housekeeping out of the way here for today. Grump.
Yes.
Since our last podcast on Saturday, the New York Islanders have still not addressed the media.
They don't care. They don't care. Don't care enough to tell the fans about what's going on. I don't understand it. I really don't. Unless Lamarillo's gone and Lambert's gone, why have they not said anything? It's baffling, honestly.
It's mind-boggling for certain. I don't understand why we're the only team that's no longer competing in the NHL playoffs that hasn't addressed the fan base. It's not like this is something that Lou Lamoriello's always done. Oh, Lou never addresses the fan base at the end of the year. Every single organization, and I mean every single organization, addresses their fan base at the end of the season, right? Because every single organization is extremely competitive. They want to compete for a Stanley Cup. Every single team is at a different stage on that path, but they all want to compete for a Stanley Cup. And when you're not winning a Stanley Cup, most of them want to win a Stanley Cup. Maybe some of them don't. Most of them want to, though. And when you're not winning that Stanley Cup, well, it's a disappointment. And you want to address, hey, what happened that year? How can we get better? What are our steps forward? What do we need to address? Ours is the only one who has not come out and addressed any of this information, or not spoken to the press, not spoken to the people.
Maybe there are no needs that we need to address. Is that possible?
Hey, you saw that Ryan Pulak, and thank you for those who sent it to me. Ryan Pulak came out and said, we don't need to do much to change up the team that we currently have.
I'm okay. Great. Never won anything. Barely squeak in the playoffs. Get rolled in the first round to a team that was decimated by injury. Backup goaltender. We don't need to make any changes. I just, you know what? If that's what you're going to say, don't say anything to the maybe it's better. What's the saying? It's better to keep your mouth shut and let people think you're stupid than to open it and remove all doubt. Because that's just, dude, the Islanders are so far away from competing for a Stanley Cup. To just say that, it's just like, it's like you're tone deaf or you just don't care. I'm surprised you didn't say, I believe in the guys in this room. Isn't that the Anders Lee special?
No, that's Lou Lamoriello special.
Oh, Lee has said it too. I'm just baffled. That whole thing is it's baffling to me. And they still think they're good enough. You know what tells me? There's no pressure on these guys to produce. None. Absolutely none.
So this is exactly the quote from Ryan Pulak. And now this was in an Eyes on Isles article. It says, but for the Islanders, change is more incremental in recent seasons, according to defenseman Ryan Pulak. And what's needed over wholesale changes. Every single team goes through this, Ryan Pulak told NHL.com on Thursday. I don't think that we need a big change. Yeah, we have an older group, But I think those guys are important to the leadership and the success of the team. They've been here and they know what it takes. I think it's a tweak here and
How,
there. But
wait,
I don't think it has to be anything crazy.
how could he say they know what it takes? They've never won anything. Maybe they know what it doesn't take, what they've been doing. But
Trial
we've
and
never
error.
won anything. You could, if you're Tampa Bay, you can say that about the veterans. They know what it takes. They've won Stanley Cups. You could say it about Colorado. You could say it about Boston. You could say it about any team that's won a Stanley Cup. But somebody who's never even made it out of the conference, they don't know what it takes. They don't know what it takes because they've never been there.
They know what it takes to win a playoff round or two. That's what they know.
Yeah, they
That's
do.
what they've done. Won a playoff round or two.
They-
We know what it takes to win a playoff
and
round.
make sure the other team's goalie's injured. That's what it takes. Injuries to the other team have, play their second and third string goalies. That's what it takes. This year, even that wasn't good enough because they played a team that's stylistically a problem for the Islanders.
I'll disagree with you on that point. I do think the Islanders know what it takes to be a competitive team in the postseason and to win a few games. But that's about it. I don't see, just say we don't need any big changes, just a change here or there. Yeah, it's status quo. And the results just haven't been footing the bill. Now we're starting to see a lot of people backtrack. I feel like now we're starting to see a lot of people say, well, my expectation for the team this year was to be kind of middle of the pack. And
Oh, they're lying.
you know,
They're all
when
lying.
we saw when we went ahead and saw that the team, made the playoffs with those dealing with those injuries and and they put up a valiant effort in the postseason. I'm proud of what this team did. So that's
Losers. Losers.
that's
Loser mentality. Loser mentality. You've accepted being a loser. The goal now isn't Stanley Cup. It's make the
postseason
playoffs.
again. What
That's
a joke.
it. That's the goal. The goal used to be here. Now it's here. The organization is reset. The organization and the fan base has reset what it's like. Now it's not winning Stanley Cups. It's squeaking into the playoffs and showing that good old college try while losing the first round. I don't know. My goals haven't changed.
Happy again. I guess that's back to where some fans are happy with that. We just made the postseason, get bounced in the first round. That's a reason to be happy. That's a reason to celebrate.
Okay, so I guess if you think about it, might as well. Who's it kind of remind you of? I mean, it's the Garth Snow era, right? Made the playoffs 3 years out of 10. Hey, we won a playoff round against Florida, then get beat by Pittsburgh. But you know what? Hey, that's okay. The team is young. This team is old. And lose. I mean, what growth could possibly come out of this organization and this team?
I'm not even okay. I think it's more of just like the expectation of the fan base just continue. You're right. That's what I mean. Yeah, I feel like the expectation of we're starting to see more and more fans curtail to this thought process that we actually didn't have that high of expectations. Do you remember all that stuff we said last year about, this team, it's a complete anomaly why this team struggled. This team struggled because of the 13-game road trip to start the season, COVID. They changed the protein powder into pre-workout, anything and everything they could use as a freaking excuse. They said, well, that was the reason why we struggled. Well, if that was the reason for the struggles 2 years ago, this last year, we should have picked back up where we left off, and we had a full off season. Did everybody heard that one too? We've been playing 2 back-to-back Eastern Conference finals. You know how much it takes out of a team? Now we had a full off season to recover, and we're ready to go. We're ready to rev our tires. We heard everything. And now there are no more excuses, I think. Now it's, my expectations were actually lower than what I said all of last year and the year before when they said Stanley Cup or bust. The expectations are lower now.
That's what I was going to say. From 2 years ago with Stanley Cup or bust, now it's like, well, you know what? We try hard. We put up a valiant effort getting beat in the first round.
If a puck bounce went this way or that way, we'd have a different result. That's a lot of it too. I will say one thing. We were starting to see when Carolina was doing well. Oh man. Well, if this went differently and that went differently, we played a close series. The goal differential was only 4 goals. If we would have beat them the way Carolina steamrolled through the Devils, oh man, Carolina's going to be punching their ticket into the Stanley Cup Finals, and they're going to get swept. They get swept because they're a team where, guess what? The injuries caught up to them too. Maybe they don't get swept. Maybe it's a gentleman's sweep. They're down 3-0 in the series, and they're down in Game 4 in Florida, right? So the injuries eventually catch up to a team like that. It does. You can have fantastic individual play. You can go ahead and patch things. You can go ahead and throw tar on the boat and patch those holes, but eventually it's going to sink if you don't make changes to the hull and the structural damage. When you got players injured, can't make changes to come postseason time. So, you just start to sink, as all ships do sometimes.
I just wonder how many more failed seasons do we have to have before people realize losing to Tampa in 2 Eastern Conference Finals as good as the Islanders are going to get in their lifetime.
Grump.
Because rebuild's going to take a while.
It is.
Rebuild's going to take a while because you're worse than an expansion team. Not right now, we're not, but worse than an expansion team by the time these guys age out. Worse than an expansion team. Have a couple of players that are pretty good and nothing coming up behind. I've already accepted it. I'm not even angry anymore. I'm really not. I mean, the only time it gets me angry is when people say, well, no, with this and this. No. I can't deal with that type of insanity.
You know what?
It's the only thing that gets me angry. Honestly, it's the only thing that makes me angry. I've accepted the fact that we're going to be a team probably don't make the playoffs next year. Ifs and buts and this and that's and this. No, just not good enough. Sorry. And the teams below us, really good. Really good. Buffalo, really good. Imagine if they get a goalie. I mean, the Levi kid's going to be pretty good, but can you imagine if they got a real goalie in net? Watch out. And a veteran defenseman, like a Scott Mayfield type. I'm not saying he's great, not at this stage, but that's what they need. They got all the offensive firepower you want. They're young. Coach seems to know what he's doing to maybe get them into the playoffs. I don't know if he's good enough to win a Stanley Cup. What are you eating over there, TJ? Not supposed to be eating during the show. Not supposed to be eating crackers during the show.
I can't believe that you hiccup or can't speak in for 5 or 6 times.
So what? And you give me that face. You want me to call you out on all the shit that you do every single show? Why don't you try to read a comment?
You do. You tell me I can't read comments. How many times?
But you can't read comments.
And you can't complete a sentence without a hiccup.
I try to give you some tough love to try to get you to read where the cat is brown, and you still mess that up.
I'm going to give you tough love to get those hiccups away one day. Anyway.
It's an involuntary reaction.
You know what? I don't know. Get it fixed.
Get
it fixed, Grump. But yeah, picking back up where we left off before you got sidetracked and you start watching the game again. I think the expectations are starting to lower for fans. And it's unfortunate. I'll be honest with you. I really believed in the team on those Eastern Conference Finals runs. I really believe that the team was well structured. I believe that playing under Barry Trotz's style with the goaltending we had, I believe they had a legitimate chance to win Stanley Cups. I'm just not there anymore. And you're seeing more and more fans. And, now it's just, I think, oh, well, I don't want to own up, or I don't want to come to the actual realization that, we were here and we did have a legitimate chance, and now we don't. The disparity of the team and the talent of the team is just like, as we get older, right? As we've mentioned on the show plenty of times, the talent level is going to drop a bit.
I admired the team, but I never thought we were good enough to win a Stanley Cup. I was on the record.
I still admire this team. This team.
But I admired those cup runs is what I'm saying, to get to these conference finals. But I never thought we were good enough. I thought we were 1-2 pieces away for being true contenders. Remember, I didn't think we were a contender. Remember that? Not contenders for Stanley Cup. I felt that we were 1 or 2 pieces away for truly contending for a Stanley Cup. And every offseason, the old man did nothing. You don't get better. You don't get better trading at the trade deadline. That's not how you get better. It's off-season moves that make you better, where a player has a chance to grow with the team as the season goes on. How many times you see a trade deadline acquisition? Well, they really kind of underwhelm down the stretch because they're going to a new situation. Especially if you're a better team, where do they fit? I mean, it's not. It has to be an off-season thing. He never does anything in the off-season ever.
But to
And then
answer
you
your
hear
question,
the fans. Then you hear the fans. Bo Horvat. Well, I say, well, why not sign him free? He'd never sign here in free agency. Well, so why would you trade for him if he wouldn't want to be here? Tells me he doesn't want to be here, just here for the money, right? I don't know. I just don't like that way of thinking. It's just defeatist attitude.
you had about like 4 or 5 points that needed responses to, but you would not stop. That's fine,
So
though.
what?
But you had a question. To answer your question, grumpy old man, you see more often than not when players do get traded, sometimes big name guys do struggle when they first join the team. They do. I mean, like Timo Meyer didn't have a particularly fantastic year. I still think he's a talented player. You see it. You see it sometimes, Grump. So, you're right. The majority of changes need to be done in the offseason to prepare. And really what the trade deadline should be used for, and I'll use the quintessential word should be used for, is just to really say, ooh, we're a top tier team right now in the division, top tier team in the conference. We need one player, or maybe one player went down with injury. We've got to replace him, but we're a top tier team all season long. We're going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and win a Stanley Cup. It's not to say, well, we're in a spot to where we're not in a playoff picture, but we need to make some trades to make us get into the playoffs and get into the postseason. How many moves did Florida make at the deadline?
I don't know.
I'm interested. What type of moves did Florida make at the deadline?
I really don't know. But you mentioned a top tier team. Would you consider? I mean, I wouldn't consider the Islanders a top tier team in the conference. I think we're right in the middle of the pack. I mean, we're not as bad as Columbus or Philadelphia, but we're not sniffing the upper echelon either. We're in the suck zone, as I like to call it, where just if things break right, you make the playoffs. If they don't, you don't make the playoffs. You're watching these playoffs now. You see Florida. You think Florida's taking a step back next year? I don't think
Probably
so.
not. Probably not.
I don't think so. I mean, what teams that made the playoffs this year are taking steps back? That's the way you have to look at it. I think Boston will take a step back for certain. They're probably still going to make the playoffs, though.
Okay. I want to, before we get too off topic, Florida made 0 trades at the deadline. None. A team that was on the cusp of possibly squeaking their way into the postseason, right? That was duking it out with other teams. Were they a team that determined, hey, we want to give up a whole bunch of draft capital to bring in somebody that we can sign as a free agent? Let's bring in a whole bunch of draft capital to make a push to make the postseason. No. They had an underwhelming regular season. And I think that's putting it as nicely as you can. Underwhelming. I still think Paul Maurice is a shit coach. Just do. Freaking quitter. Anyway, if they win a Stanley Cup, it's not due to him. It's due to Bobrovsky and due to Kachuk. It has nothing to do with Maurice. But
okay.
I tell you, they didn't make any moves at the deadline, right? They were in a spot just like most teams. When you're not in a playoff spot or a dominant spot, you're not supposed to be giving up assets at the trade deadline.
Agreed. That should be when you're giving away first-round draft picks, that should be this puts us over the top to be a true contender. Somebody we can win a Stanley Cup. This year, it just wasn't the case. You were just scuffling trying to make the playoffs. You don't trade away again, the first-round draft pick in this year's draft. Just don't do it. It's so dumb. It's scary stupid, honestly. And I think Bo Horvat will be better next year. Is he anything more than a 60-point-a-year guy? I don't know. History hasn't proven that.
The answer is no, he's not.
Okay.
History has proven he's not more than a 60-point-a-year guy. What?
Well, we're going to find out, right? We're going to find out because he's going to be playing with Matt Barzal the whole year. And who knows what they'll put on the left wing. Who knows?
Yeah, we're starting to
They're
see a lot.
certainly not going to be acquiring someone to play the left wing. It's going to be somebody already in the organization. Maybe Oliver Wahlstrom. Maybe Zach Parise starts out on the first line again at 30, 39 years old. I mean, I mean, it's just frustrating as a fan. And the organization doesn't tell you anything. They don't even tell you, yep, this is what we need to do. Nothing. We don't hear from them. I figure ownership would come out and say, we're assessing everything going into the offseason. Something. Nothing. It's been a month.
Yeah. And Grumpy, can you fix your mic so it's not pulling every time you hit it pulls like that?
Nobody else hears it but you.
Everybody hears it. That's fine. Maybe I just hear. Maybe I got supersonic hearing. But I don't understand. You're right. I do not understand the team not addressing the public. Here's the thing. Even if you were going to have a succession plan in, what good does it make not to announce that to your fan base? What good does it make to keep that under cloak and dagger? Oh, we can't let anybody know that we're going to do. Oh, we're going to move Lou upstairs and we're looking for another general manager. What type of use does that do not to announce something like that to your fan? If that's the case, right? I really cannot think of a scenario to why we've now on 3.5 weeks have not spoken to the fucking fan base. It's almost been a month after being eliminated from the playoffs. Haven't said a damn word, not a peep.
What was the date? What was the actual date we were eliminated?
Okay, I'll pull that back up for you, Grumpy.
Yeah, pull it up because I want to do the do 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 do. You know that Nightline music. Day 37, the Islanders. Nothing comes out from the leadership group. I mean, it's like hostage thing.
Oh shit! Now they're trying to give me the Islanders versus the Rangers. Nobody gives a shit. My God, for last years when they're trying to give me this. Christ.
Well, just the Islanders will be playing the Rangers. Go ahead.
God damn, Grumpy. Last loss was on April 28th.
So it is.
It'll be a month and 4 days. So on Saturday's podcast.
A month with nothing from the organization. Nothing. How do the people feel? Maybe they think the franchise is disbanded. I don't know.
How do we feel? How do you feel, Islander fans? Are you happy that we haven't heard from our organization yet about an assessment of the season and what path we have going forward? Are you happy about that, guys and girls? I'm not.
What's the path to getting better? What's the path to getting better today and in the long run? There is none. To me, there is none. Can you tell me some slam bang prospect we have in the minors is just going to come up and light it on fire? I mean, can you tell me who in the system is going to come up and be a Cale Makar type defender? Who's going to be a Connor McDavid? There's no one in our prospect pool. No one who stands out. No one you could say that's a surefire top pairing defenseman, top six forward. No one in our organization. No one. And guess what? Not going to have one this year either because we don't have a first round pick. I mean, those are just facts. Where do you go from here? That's my biggest thing. Where do you go from there? How do we get to being successful again?
Got to take steps back to take steps forward. It's that simple, but I don't think many people will. I think some do, but most general fans won't accept that. Most general fans don't understand that.
They'll just swallow the shit the team puts out and just says, oh, yeah, well, guess we have, Bo Horvat.
Get behind the team, guys. Get behind them.
Believe in us. Believe in us not qualifying for the playoffs.
Stop being so negative and believe in the team.
That's a team you need to get behind. A team that loses to somebody who's missing 3 of their top 6 forwards and plays a backup goaltender. Believe in that team that loses 2 out of 3 games to them.
The
A
reason
team
they're
that's
not
only
winning games. Good.
a team that's we've only beaten 4 times in 20 attempts.
The reason we're not winning games is because they don't have support of our fan base. Right. Fans aren't coming to the game, so not creating a good environment. So that's why we're losing games. We're going to see every excuse in the book. But it was funny. There was, and I had to close out the article because it was taking up so much RAM on my computer. But a Canadian betting site did a study, and they did a poll as to what was the best NHL stadium to the worst NHL stadium. Shockingly enough, and again, I don't have it pulled up anymore.
I bet we're pretty high on that list. Would you not think the Islanders are high on that list?
Try dead last.
I can't believe that. Come on now.
I'm not kidding.
For stadium?
For arena, yes.
USB Arena?
Correct. UBS Arena. Maybe US.
I want to know if you caught me. Very good.
Yeah, here it is. Yep. Studies say that we're the worst ranked arena.
I don't see how that's possible.
And maybe they looked in, study ranks UBS Arena as the worst venue for hockey fans. Maybe it has to do with the outrageous prices.
Okay.
Maybe it has to do with outrageous prices. Maybe it has to do with the fact that you can't tailgate. Maybe it has to do with the fact that there's, parking is a million miles away and, what you have to pay to even get in and everything. Maybe that is added into the equation, but it just said worst venue for hockey fans. It was done by some Canadian site. They polled people.
Well, I don't know how valid that is.
I'd assume pretty. Grump.
I don't. Now, I was going to ask if they're asking questions about the price of food and stuff like that, because if that's a negative impact for fans, I could understand that.
Sure, it is. Yeah. So,
but I could not imagine it being worse than the league. Could not.
I just have to assume things are so fucking expensive, and that's probably why it was taking that into. I mean, look how expensive a beer. I couldn't even tell you what the hell a beer costs at one of those sporting events. I can only imagine what a beer costs at UBS Arena.
But for watching a game, it's a brand new stadium. It's got to be pretty good, right? We haven't been. But I'm not going to say
this reason. I guess I have no reason to go. Everybody talking about we got to go to UBS Arena. Well, this is just measured by fan. I guess.
Now, if you got to take a second mortgage out on your house to go to a game, and you got to take some type of Uber to get within 6 miles of the stadium, I can understand those are probably negatives. But just for watching a game, it's got to be pretty good.
Yeah, and again, it was done by the way I look at a Canadian betting site. So maybe again, the validity behind it may not be there. I don't know. I took a quick glance at it, and it was just causing my computer to start freezing up and affecting what I could hear from you, Grumpy. So I'm like, I can't afford to have this pulled up and hear you at the same time. But so that I saw that I kind of got a little chuckle out of that, Grumpy. We're in a spot to where path forward. I just think we're gonna.
Is there a path forward from here?
I think they're going. I don't think it's a way forward, but I think I know what the organization is going to try to do. I think the organization brings back Lou and Lane based off of the comments that Andrew Gross made as to why they still have not addressed the public. I'm baffled by that. I really have no idea. I couldn't even begin to brainstorm of a legitimate idea that I would believe in as to why they have not addressed the public.
It just gets worse and worse every week. I don't know. I guess on free agent day, we'll find out, which guys are coming back just by which guys don't get signed somewhere else.
You think we won't have anybody present at the NHL draft? We're going to do it remote.
I think somebody will be there for day 2. Be an empty table. They'll just be sitting there. That's what it'll be like. Because it's not like the old man's going to make any moves. It's not like he's going to trade back into the first round somehow. Not doing that.
Maybe he'll give up next year's first round pick and a second round pick to trade up to the first round this year. I always, it's laughable when teams like, well, you got to trade back into the first round. We're giving up next year's first and our second this year. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's a recipe for disaster.
Now, if it's a draft or you fall in love with somebody and you're looking at next year's prospects and it's not as good, I could see why you'd maybe do that if you fall in love with a certain player. But I mean, we have so little ammunition. I watched the movie Fury yesterday. It was with Brad Pitt. It's about a tank during the tail end of World War II. And I almost feel like the Islanders are the tank Fury, where they try to fight everybody off and they all want them getting killed at the end. It's like, dude, you had a big battalion coming at you. Just kind of the tank was shut down. The tread was blown off due to a mine. You get the hell out of there and then you come back. Why do some type of futile exercise at the end of the war? It's like the Islanders trying to make the playoffs. It's the end of the war. So let's go out there, get Bo Horvat, trade away all of our future assets for Bo Horvat. And at the end, you just die anyway. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. And for me, it's really frustrating because I'm thinking, how many years until we're potentially good again? How old am I by the time we're possibly good again? I could be 70 years old by the time we're good again and have that opportunity. 70.
That's assuming if everything goes according to plan with a rebuild.
Yeah, and according with me too.
So, yeah, it's a lot.
Think about that. Think about that. And the older you get, those are the type of things you think about. Man, is this team ever going to be good enough? Is it ever going to be good again? Ever? Am I going to be alive to see it? I don't know. Are we ever going to be really a contender for a Stanley Cup? You look at Florida. Look at Florida. If Florida was the Islanders, they never would have traded for Matthew Tkachuk. Never. They just would have rolled the same team back year after year.
We believe in guys like Jonathan Huberdeau and the way this team is currently constructed. We don't need to have any change. Maybe we need to make sure we could shed off a few bad contracts. So we would have done anything we could to keep Mackenzie Weegar and to go ahead and keep Huberdeau. But we're not going to make any big changes or any big splashes or anything like that. And here's the thing. A big splash doesn't help us. It doesn't. I think we're past that point.
Yep. And I mean, what did Florida need? Florida needed a heart transplant. That's what they needed. They got one. They got one. They needed, that's what I said at the beginning of the year. I thought they'd make the playoffs. I didn't think they'd squeak in like they did. But I mean, kudos to them for not being afraid to pull the freaking trigger on something like that. The Islanders never would have made that move. We won the President's Trophy. The fan base, what do you mean you're trading Huberdeau? He had 103 points. Why would you move him for Matt Tkachuk? And now you're trading a young defenseman too? No. Sometimes you need that. They were a team that was loaded. President's Trophy winning team, losing the second round of playoffs. You know what they said? That's not good enough. That's not good enough with this young core. And their core is right in the prime of their career now. They're right in the prime.
I'll take it one step further too, Grump. You could make the argument our team was President's Trophy winners and went to the second round of the postseason, lost to the team that went to the Stanley Cup Finals in Tampa, who wound up getting banged up. But they did this all with a backup coach. They did this with a freaking interim head coach. Imagine if we just get the right head coach, man, and we get a legit. This guy was just some guy off the bench that they had to promote from within. Imagine if they got a legitimate head coach that was a tenured coach who had experience and playoff knowledge. Oh, man, this wouldn't even be a problem. Oh, gotcha. Just roll it back. Same thing. We'll be fine. Oh.
What was the thing about Florida? Little soft. Little soft.
Yep.
I mean, really, really talented. Losing Trocheck when they traded him to Carolina took away some of that snarl. A little bit soft. So they got the guy with the biggest snarl in the room in Matt Tkachuk. They realized what they needed. They went out and got it. If you look at the Islanders, what would you say that we need? What, 4 or 5 scorers? 2 defensemen? Goaltending is good. Goaltending is good.
Sure.
Couple defensemen, puck-moving defensemen, modern NHL defensemen, at least 3 scorers. Youth. Do you believe in Pierre Engvall coming back next year?
I think
I
he
don't.
comes back, but do I believe in him? I believe him to be a middle six guy. Maybe a
What
third line guy, maybe a guy who could stretch to a second line if we need him to, but he's
is
a
he?
middle
No,
six guy.
okay, if he's on your second line, it means your top six isn't good enough.
Sure.
Period.
I agree with
Top
that.
six not good enough. If he's playing any higher in the lineup than third line, I have no problem with him on the third line. How much you pay a third line guy though?
The way we pay our bottom six, way too fucking much money.
Kyle Okposo signed back this year today with Buffalo. I don't know how old he is, 35, whatever. He's older, right? Come off, he was making what, $6.5 million a year for Buffalo?
Yep.
Okay, he's 35. 1 year deal, $2.5 million. You know what that's called? You bring your captain back and he takes a $4 million pay cut for 1 year. That's what you're supposed to do with your veterans. You're not supposed to give them 5-year deals. You're just not supposed to do that. Just dumb. It tells me Buffalo knows what they're doing, which should be scary to Islander fans. Because if Buffalo knows what they're doing, and you obviously have no clue, you're in trouble. Buffalo will make playoffs next year. No doubt in my mind. They will make playoffs next year.
Well, let's go ahead and get to our ad reads here today. Today's podcast is sponsored by DraftKings. Light the lamp during the NHL playoffs with DraftKings Sportsbooks. Right now, new customers can make a $5 bet and score $150 in bonus bets instantly, Grumpy. So you could say, hey, I'm expecting Bobrovsky to go ahead and allow 2 or less goals in today's game. You could say, hey, I'm expecting Florida to have an offensive explosion. I'm going to go ahead and bet that Dallas wins game 4 and then loses game 5. You can bet whatever you want on DraftKings, right? But you put a $5 bet down, you get $150 in bonus bets. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code THPN. New customers can make a $5 hockey playoff bet and score $150 in bonus bets instantly. Again, that's THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. And if you have a gambling problem, you can find the resources where you can get help in the link in the description below and in the show notes as well. If you have a gambling issue, if you or somebody you know does. And today's podcast is also brought to you by Raycon.
Raycon!
Grumpy's favorite set of headphones. Let's face it, with coffee starting at $5, and yes, even without any customization, and our bank accounts somehow always depleting, we're officially entering a dupe session. Most products do the same thing, but are priced differently solely based off of brand names. So a good duplicate or dupe is crucial for getting the highest quality at a best price. One dupe that you definitely shouldn't sleep on is Raycon's wireless earbuds. Raycon's a premium audio brand at the perfect price point, so you can listen to what you want when you want without breaking the bank. Raycon's mission is to prove that you shouldn't have to pay an arm and a leg, for good quality sound and essential smart tech listening features. You can get a pair and a spare and still pay less than what you would with some of the other guys with these big tech brands out there. And Raycon knows that in this economy, every purchase needs to be perfect. So they offer a buy now, pay later option. And right now, you can pay as low as $18 at checkout. They even have easy and free return guarantee. They offer 2 years of product protection insurance just for a few dollars. And hey, they also offer free domestic shipping at a flat fee for international shipping. They have over 50,000 5-star reviews. So over 50,000 people have written 5-star review for them, Grumpy. I wonder how many, when we look in these comments, people have written 5-star review for us, Grumpy. I wonder how many of those. I wonder if they'll make you happy or not.
Probably not 50,000.
Maybe we've got 50,000 of those. And no, that's not a call to action to spam 5-star review in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. That is not what that is. But the Raycon headphones have, noise isolation. They've got awareness mode. They've got the earbud tap functionality. They're water and sweat resistance as well. But go to buyraycon.com/THPN today to get 15% off your Raycon order. Again, that's buyraycon.com/THPN to score 15% off. That's buyraycon.com/THPN. Grumpy,
like it.
we're gonna get you reading some comments there, Grumpy, to take some attention from you. We got here Anthony
Oh,
Rizzi's
Christ.
comment here, Grumpy.
Is it now May 24th and still no word from Lou and management? This is a disgrace as a diehard Islanders fan. This makes me question my allegiance to the organization. It's just a total disrespect to us fans. I'm not disagreeing on that. It's disrespectful. You want the fans to give you money for season tickets and to come to games and to buy your merchandise, and you don't feel that you owe them a conversation on the state of the franchise? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a bold move, Cotton.
Here's the thing. It's not even a conversation. It's not like they even get the fans aren't asking the questions. The guys who have to goose step in order to go ahead and provide the right answer, they can't ask questions that are too tough, otherwise they're going to lose their press passes. So it's not even like it's a conversation. It's just like a statement that they put out, and it's like, our next comment's going to come here from Andrew Gross, and they've got the question pretty much pre-queued up. It's going to be softball questions for what should be, a team that deserves some hard, tough questions. Hard questions should be asked. That's all I want to say. Anthony Rizzi also grumpy.
I give you guys credit doing these podcasts every week. What is there to say anymore? Lou and management need to go. I'd be too disgusted to talk about this team anymore. Kudos to you guys. Thank you, Anthony.
Thanks, Anthony. We appreciate it.
It is tough sometimes. I mean, think about it now. We've been talking now for almost a month, and nothing has changed. Nothing.
We have no first-round pick. We've got no second-round pick.
No, we have a second-round pick.
I'm sorry. We have no first, no third. I'm sorry. We still have a second as of right now. So maybe we'll give that up to get rid of Josh Bailey. But we have no first-round pick. We've got no third-round pick. So what we're going to start doing, prepping for players who look like they're day 2 selections. Hey, time for me to look at second-round pick selections, middle of the second-round pick selections. We don't have draft picks or anybody like that to talk about. We don't have any sort of movement, no coach, no new general manager, no new changes to player personnel, none of that to talk about. So
nothing.
Yeah, this offseason might be a tough one. It'll be a tough one for the fans.
Everyone's the same.
A tough one for the fans.
Every offseason is the same. We do nothing. Every offseason is the same. We do nothing.
We've done more in the past, right? We've done where we've changed out. Last year we did more in the offseason than we've done any other offseason.
Got a new coach?
Got a new coach. Traded for traded our 13th overall selection for Alexander Romanov. I mean, those are all offseason. In the offseason, we do.
Those are the two. That's 2 moves. That's 2 moves.
I say they're pretty large moves. Would you not?
You bring in one player and you change it. No.
You give up. No. You trade a lottery pick and you exchange a head coach. Compared to what Lou Lamoriello has done in prior off seasons, that has been the most movement we've seen out of Lou Lamoriello in the offseason. And I fucking hate that excuse of, oh, well, you guys just don't realize Lou Lamoriello is doing all of his offseason moves at the trade deadline. You guys he's a dumbass. You guys just don't see it.
No, we see it. It's a dumbass move.
He'd rather go ahead and pay a premium. He'd pay a premium to give up assets to make all these moves he can make in the offseason for free. He wants to go ahead and pay a premium to make them 3 months early. Well, freaking Lottie fucking da, Lou Lamoriello.
It's a dumbass move. Why? Because you're like TJ said, you're paying a premium value to get guys on expiring deals. You have guys on expiring deals where you could possibly recoup some draft capital, but you wouldn't even consider it. Well, we never even thought of that. What? Where'd that come from? We never even considered that. Dude, that's your job as a GM. You should be considering everything. How many guys on the Islanders are truly untouchable? I mean, in the realistic sense of the word, how many guys are truly untouchable? 2 on the whole team. 2. Ilya Sorokin, Matt Barzal, that's it. Where you could say, yeah. But here's the thing. If somebody came to me, I'd still listen. I'd listen, even if I'm not going to move them. But everybody else on this team should be, for the right deal, move them out. we don't have a Connor McDavid on this team. Just don't.
Yeah. I think I throw Dobson in the mix, but that's fine. You don't have to. Drew L says, "How's Carolina doing?" Grumpy. It's so great to be right.
2-2.
Yeah, they're getting killed in the series. How do you know
I'll
it's
tell you
2-2, Grumpy? How do you know it's 2-2, Grumpy?
I see my feed comes up. It tells me.
Oh, yeah. What you're doing is watching
Here's
TV.
the thing. Here's the thing. I tell you what, I like Sebastian Aho for Carolina. I'd love to see him play with Matt Barzal.
He's not
That's a
going
guy
to.
who cares.
Okay.
That's a guy who cares.
Not going to.
Like it.
Andrew L said, TJ, you're still riding Dallas to the finals. No, Dallas is done. Now they're stick a fork in them. They're done. Rick Roma, Grumpy.
Bob was a $10 million bust the last few years and was the backup in the first round. And Aiden Hill as well. Aiden Hill. This is why you can't overpay for a goalie. It's a total crapshoot in today's NHL. I disagree. You tell me you don't think Vasilevsky was worth it the last couple of years, last 3 years? He single-handedly won him Stanley Cups because you're just so good in net. When you have a guy that's that good, you score one goal, game over. How many times? I think he had 7 straight clinching games where he posted a shutout. Tell me you wouldn't want that as your goalie.
Rick Roma, Grumpy.
You want a real rebuild? Trade Sorokin. Some GM will give the farm. Again,
this is a Phil's facts thing.
Yeah. Again, if you want to trade Sorokin, you got to get rid of all the other shit that's all over this roster. All of it. Give it away for nothing. Just blow it up and start over. You want to trade Sorokin, you have to take Anders Lee. You want Sorokin, part of the deal is you take Anders Lee and the rest of his contract. You take Kyle Palmieri and the rest of his horrible contract. Take JG Pajot and the rest of his terrible contract. Take the whole fourth line because they all suck.
And then
that's what you need to do.
I'm asking for too much. Anyway, what's up, JP? Frank K said maybe we'll have more info on the Islanders by the first preseason game.
Probably
there it is. Andrew L said the Islanders Rangers, a MetLife Stadium series in February.
I hate those games.
People get excited about that stuff. I can care less about the Stadium Series Classic games.
I don't like them.
It was special when one team did it a year. Now it's like, oh, we're trying. I'm like, don't care.
It's like the Stadium Series 1 year they should have done it. Maybe do it once every 5 years, so it remains special. Now it's not even special anymore. And here's the thing: last time the Rangers played the Islanders, that didn't turn out too well for the Islanders. They wore those black and white cookie jerseys, which I absolutely despise. So let's see what happens this year.
Got a comment. What's up, Alexander? How are you? Harry Schultz, how are you, man? Johnny Mack said, good evening, guys. Getting on a plane to Boston. I'll watch later. Grumpy, think hard on that trade request.
I actually, John, I've been thinking about the trade request. Yes, I have.
And very good, Grumpy.
If the stubborn Islanders are allowed to make 2 or 3 moves this offseason, what can they do to marginally improve the team besides Lou leaving? What moves can you possibly make? I mean, I'm serious. That doesn't alter whatever good young play, because no one wants our old shit. They want whatever young talent that we have left, the bare bones of the young talent. Are you willing to move Pelech and Pulak?
They've got no trade clauses.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got no trade clauses. So it's a moot point.
I mean,
what can we do to marginally improve the team? I think the key word here, Gungun, is you even acknowledge it in the statement. Marginally improve the team. Does a marginal improvement make us a Stanley Cup contender? No, it doesn't.
I mean, next year we're at best 4th in the division. At best 4th in the division. Watch out for Pittsburgh. Kyle Dubas is interviewed there, supposedly. So, he's going to get that GM job. I don't know how good a GM he is. And honestly, looking at his goaltender situation up there in Toronto, maybe he's not what they need in Pittsburgh. They need a goaltender desperately. Desperately.
No way.
Can he get one? I don't know.
We'll find out. But could the marginal improvement to answer your question? I guess you can trade away Josh Bailey, free up some cap space, and try to make a signature of some old vet. That's the only thing maybe they could do to marginally improve. But again, it's in your comment, marginally improve. We need more than that.
There's no way I'm trading Bailey this offseason. No freaking way.
What's up, Frank? How are you? JP Grumpy.
Just to follow up on something I said in your last show, first overall doesn't usually equate with success in the same season. But there are a lot of examples of teams that won first overall that win the cup.
Yeah. And then Emmanuel R says, good evening, gents. I don't care for boring interviews, but the fact that nobody has spoken yet is quite insulting.
Yeah. How does it make you feel as a fan? It's like you don't even care enough to tell us about the state of the team. Okay.
Won't even fill you in. Won't even do us the favor to fill us in on the thoughts of this team and what the direction is.
I mean, I know those guys have to be calling to renew season tickets, right? Well, no. I'm not renewing till I hear something about you.
You're Grumpy. Rick Roma, Grumpy.
Just saw TJ's MySpace, and things he says about Grumpy are really upsetting. I'm unfollowing.
Oh, no! Page, I'm losing, or Grumpy, I'm losing MySpace followers. I never even had a MySpace. Matthew S. said, good evening, gents. Really surprised with these conference finals. I am too. They've been disappointing, though.
Yeah, I think the whole playoffs have been disappointing.
Gary Bettman, what a disgrace. Gungun says, judging from the Panthers' playoff success with a hot goalie, is
it too far-fetched to think the Islanders could ride Sorokin far into the playoffs one day? Okay, what's the difference between the Islanders and the Panthers?
The Panthers just came off a season where they're the best team in the NHL. and they struggled with a shitty coach.
They have a top 5 center in the league in Barkov. They have another top 5 winger in the league in Matt Tkachuk. Think about they also got Bennett. They have a lot of good young talent on that team. A lot. Verhaeghe. I mean, we would kill for any of those players. Any of those players would be the second best player on our team.
Sure. And Grumpy, Johnny Mac.
Grumpy, War Eagle, baby. Nice shirt. Auburn. Football. 9 wins this year. Wow. Okay.
Pumper Curtis said, wow, of course the degenerates are live. Let's go, baby. We're live. Okay. Drew L.
The thing about Florida, too, is that they can run it back next year again despite the loss. That until they have to pay Brandon Montour an absolute albatross of a contract. That a lot of their guys are locked up long-term, though. They're talented players. They're locked up long-term.
Coach Tommy B. Grumpy.
NHL and NHLPA in talks to raise the salary cap an extra $1 to $2 million more than originally planned.
Hey.
What does it tell you? The owners actually came out and said, boy, we made record profits this year. Well, shit. Didn't we tell you that was going to have to be passed on to the players? 1 or 2 million? It should probably go up 5. A minimum of 5.
Johnny Mac, did you see the news, the hockey news article about the Islanders' needs this summer?
I did not. Did they have enough paper or ink to print that? Or did they run out?
I'll have to look. Barry Richmond, Grump.
Barry Richmond, our friend. As we know, Lou could care less, but what are your thoughts on the team not addressing the season, et cetera? Imagine if you're a season ticket holder, exactly, just mention that. It's like, well, no, because I don't know what your plan is for the team. Get back to me. And hopefully it's not too late because my entertainment dollar can go anywhere else.
I didn't know Tkachuk also scored there. It's a 2-2 tie. Hunter says, I got to give props to Florida. But after watching the Canes in the first 2 rounds, they look tired and done.
I think the fact that Bobrovsky's been really, really good in net.
Sure.
He's been really, really good. And Florida's another team that really skates well. That's why we can't beat Florida either. Florida's a team that kicks our ass on a regular basis because they're aggressive on the forecheck and they can all skate. The problem with Florida has always been their defense. They've been more buttoned up defensively. and Bob has been bailing them out. That's why they're as far. That's why they've gone as far as they've gone.
Harry says, I despise Carolina.
I don't hate them.
And Goon Grumpy.
If I remember correctly, my little brownie had a good suggestion the other night. First line of Engvall, or was it Wallstrom, Horvat, and Barzell? Amen. I don't want Engvall anywhere near. Like I said, if Engvall's on your first line, your team really sucks. He was a half a point a game guy. He's even with the Islanders, half a point a game. And he's so great. Half a point a game. A point every other game. That's what he was. And Islander fans think that's great. He's a jag. He's a jag. And he played on the second line, no less.
Rick
He's
Roman
a jag. Just a guy. Nothing special.
Carolina bores me. Barry is also saying it's disrespectful that they're not addressing the team.
True.
And JP says, it was 43 years ago today when the Islanders won the first cup.
I remember when I was. I remember where I was, when it happened. I'll never forget it.
Goon Grumpy.
Not telling the fans has been William Belichick's shtick for decades. This is nothing new. Luell. Well, regarding Luell. Okay, you know what? Belichick got away with that when he had Tom Brady at quarterback. Their team sucks now, and the media is kind of questioning him on a lot of stuff. And he built up a lot of cachet being in New England for 20-some-odd years.
And winning how many Super Bowls?
Yeah. What's Lou Lamoriello ever done for the Islanders? Has he ever won anything?
What's Lou Lamoriello done in the last 2 decades?
20 years. What's he done?
Barry Richmond saying, it's a big FU to fans here like me, and who were fans for a long time before, Grandpa took over.
Very true.
Michael M. Grumpy.
It would be a boss-ass move if they made a huge trade and brought the players to the presser. It would be. It would be. You got to give to get, though, Michael. I like the cat, though. Michael's got a cat.
Yep.
TJ's got a couple of cats now, a couple little kittens.
Oh, yep. JP says, except Bill Belichick won a Super Bowl within the past handful of years. Yep.
Well, Tom Brady won the Super Bowls. He was just along for the ride.
Yeah.
Jeff says, I know his Islanders career was cut short due to concussions. Did you think of Brett Lindros? No.
And Ryan Pulak is just saying that so his job can stay secure forever. Well, I think his job is secure. I thought he had I thought
he played okay in the playoffs. I thought he played better in the playoffs than he did during the regular season.
Sure.
He showed a little bit of more than he usually shows.
And Harry's saying, who's Pollock getting his information from? And that's what I want to know. Well, he's not. No, he's just saying what his thoughts were. That was that. Hey, I don't think we don't need to worry about it.
Tony Cheese has a suggestion. Trade Pollock.
It is. Jeff says, I love both podcasts. Thank you so
Jeff.
much, Jeff. Thank you. Matt Martin said it as well, Harry.
Yeah, Jesus.
Almighty. Gets worse and worse, right? Rick Roma said, apparently Severson is going to get a 6 years for around $6 million. Lou is drooling. We'll never have enough cap space. That's the one good thing. We'll never have enough space. So we don't have to worry about anything like that.
Is he worth that?
No. Taking one fantastic year of the Devils saying, hey, look what I should get paid. Coach Tommy B.
Florida's about to make the Stanley Cup Finals after a 92-point season, which rarely gets you in a playoff spot. Think about that. Yeah, they were President's Trophy winners last year, and they scuffled all season, and they got hot at the end of the year and rolled through everybody. That's what we're talking about.
And then TJF says Pulak doesn't want to lose any of his cul-de-sac crew buddies.
Very true. Very true.
Alexander here, Grumpy.
Here's the thing. If you want to entertain a trade for Dobson, you can trade Dobson and Bailey and a first-rounder to Ottawa for DeBrincat and a defenseman. I don't like any of Ottawa's defensemen. And you want a first-rounder and Dobson? What do you think DeBrincat does when he's here? He'd be on the first line for certain. I mean, he's a guy, he can put the puck in the net without a doubt. That's an again, more first-rounders. I'm never, if it was me, I'm never trading first-rounders. Ever. Never freaking ever. They keep the cost of your team down where you're able to make other moves. You want to know why the Islanders are top of the salary cap all the time? Because all they do is sign veterans old veterans to bloated contracts. Oh, well, every year we hear the same thing. Oh, well, we don't have the cap space. Whose fault is that? It's Lou Lamoriello's fault.
Mm.
That's an awful lot to give up. That's an awful lot to give up.
Got a comment here from Barry Richmond, Grumpy.
Maybe if Ryan Pulock actually got his shot in the net, on net and was more effective on the power play, I might say, okay, Ryan, I'm listening, but we all know they need a puck mover on the blue line and another forward. They need probably 2 puck movers. Here's the thing. I like Sebastian Aho. He's a number 7 defenseman for me. Maybe Bolduc becomes that guy to have with Dobson. But I mean, you still have the issue that Pulock and Pelech, neither one of them are puck movers, and they want to play them together. And Romanov's not a puck mover either.
Got a comment here from Goon Grumpy.
Grumpy, did you ever see the cult classic film Paris, Texas? Yes, I did. If so, what are your thoughts and concerns? Gosh, it's been a long time since I've seen it. Harry Dean Stanton was in it, and I thought it was, it reminded me like an indie film, kind of quirky. It was all right. Here's the thing. It's not something I'm going to run out and buy. Let me just put it to you that way. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if I see it come on TV one time, if I watch it again. I saw that. No.
So apparently there was some issues with Ron Hextall in Pittsburgh too. Apparently he tried to sabotage. Frank just sent me a few messages. He's saying, and now these are from articles saying Hextall traded Teddy Bluger during the same trip in the middle of the dinner at the player's Father's Day arranged by Crosby at Burns Steakhouse in Tampa, Florida. Bluger learned about it via social media that he had been dealt to Vegas, and he and his dad abruptly left the restaurant. Crosby rushed to console his now former teammate, and after a few minutes returned to dinner. And he said, "That's not how we do things in Pittsburgh." Crosby remained mostly quiet the remainder of the night, just talking about division and friction. He said, they don't want me. Malkin texted Letang. So apparently, the whole bunch of beans got spilt about what was going on with Hextall. But Malkin texted Letang that they don't want me, and they stepped up their offer stepped up efforts to console Malkin after signing his deal. Malkin wanted to stay in Pittsburgh because he no longer trusted me, or I don't know. This seems like there's spelling mistakes across this. He wanted to stay in Pittsburgh, but he no longer trusted either Hextall or Burke. Crosby and Sullivan intervened. So again, it seems like they were trying to at the last minute to try to get Malkin to sign back. Was, hey, I know you don't trust Hextall or Burke, but this is why you should come back. This is why you should trust us. So seems like there was a little bit of additional issues in the room for Pittsburgh.
Well, and it's not Sullivan safe, right? GM and the president are gone.
Yep.
Should tell you something. And I think Sullivan's a good coach. Expect a rebound from Pittsburgh next year.
Whoosh.
Expect a rebound from Pittsburgh next year. They should have made the playoffs this year. If their goaltender was an absolute dog shit, they would have made the playoffs this year.
Harry Schultz says, comfortable mediocrity. Freedom from adventure, Grumpy.
Good evening, team. Are you sick of hearing what a good room the Islanders have? Sure, they are nice guys, nice enough guys to shoot crap with, but they don't seem to have a great work ethic to be intense enough. They just don't. I don't think it matters. I'm not saying they don't want to win. Okay. I don't want people to think that. What I'm saying is, if they lose, I don't think they're that broken up over it. Except for a couple of guys. Matt Barzell's pissed. Certain guys are pissed. The vets, I think they're just, sitting back, fat, dumb, and happy. Just keep on giving me my money. I can live in the cul-de-sac. That's what I think.
Next time it's time to be Grumpy.
Cervelli projects Scott Mayfield to get 3 years, $3.75 million in free agency. I think he gets more than that. I think so too.
Yeah, Frank Cervelli's way off on that. He's going to get overpaid. All defensemen always get overpaid, and especially now he's going to free agency and he's never been paid before. He's going to get big bucks. Simple.
He's only 31.
He's not signing back either.
No, I don't think he's signing back. He deserves to get paid. And everyone knows I like Scott Mayfield. I don't think he was as good this year as he has been in the past.
Freedom Fund Adventure, Grumpy.
Isles will get the new jersey just for the stadium sweater. What is your level of confidence that they will have a nice sweater? 0.
I was about to say, look at the prior. I mean, like think about how long they've had to make a legitimate jersey when it was like, hey, we're going to wear this on a more consistent basis. This is a one game thing. I'm not expecting much from the organization. Mookie Betzer says here,
We
we
need
need
more
more
nasty, truculent players like Kachuk. We need any nasty, truculent players like Kachuk. We don't have any of them.
We need an asshole or two on the team too.
I'll tell you what. I like Matt Barzell has the ability to be kind of a little bit nasty like that.
I think he's
Funny
a
Boy
false
Kurt says, let's see how many of my brilliant comments get ignored tonight by TJ, the ignoramus dillhole. Well, I'll tell you what, if you called me an ignoramus dillhole, I wouldn't read any of your comments. Alexander says, what do you guys think of the fans saying that if Trotz was coaching them, then they'd be playing Florida and wouldn't be 3-0 in the series? If Trotz was coaching, would not have even made the playoffs. Would not have made the playoffs.
Well, the reason people are saying that is because Phil's Facts did what I consider a little bit of trolling by saying, if Trotz was still here, we'd be favored to win the cup.
Oh, that's what he does.
He's just a troll.
Zero.
He's
not good enough. What are the pros and cons of air fryers? I like air fryers.
I don't use one.
I do. The worst thing is cleaning it because you got stuff getting the nooks and crannies and stuff like that. They cook up their stuff pretty fast. It's not like you want to cook French fries. Much rather have them in grease, but whatever. Mookie Betzer says goal is getting into the playoffs because anything can happen. No. Well, what happens when you don't make the playoffs? Is the goal just to get close? Because then if we have that shot to maybe make the playoffs, then maybe anything can happen. Nothing.
Frank says, don't blame the fans, CJ. Blame Lou in the front office.
Absolutely. I don't think you're blaming the fans.
No, I'm not blaming the fans, but I think certain
actually, no, I do blame the fans who are just, kind of thinking, hey, we're good enough. Failure is acceptable.
Stephen S. Grumpy.
The administration is back to the same old BS. Terrible decisions, contracts, and leadership. Complete failure to establish long team strategy. He's not lying. That's a hell of a fish, Stephen.
JP says, are you guys going to do fantasy hockey league? Because I believe that will save my hockey watching life in the upcoming years. We did one a few years ago, and it was kind of lackluster. Nobody paid attention. And Grumpy was the only person who paid attention because fantasy hockey doesn't carry the same exact fantasy weight that other sports do, and people just stop paying attention to fantasy hockey.
Well, here's the thing. You want to know what my fantasy strategy was when I play hockey, fantasy hockey? I don't pick any Islander players, ever.
Drew L said, honestly, Matt Barzal should go full dickhead mode until there's change. Make himself a locker room cancer and demand a trade so that so he can get what he wants, either trade him or start a transition.
Do you think he regrets signing that contract extension? I think he does.
I'm not sure. I'm really not. I want to say no, but no way of knowing for certain.
He's the one guy who's still angry. He's still angry. Alexander says, TJ,
we did that already there, Alexander. We showed the comparison of snow, and we did that last episode, Alexander. Harry says here, it's a sign of the times. No work ethic, no killer instinct. A lot of players don't, unfortunately, have the killer instinct. That's something that's very rare.
When you were making more money or, to win Stanley Cups and stuff like that, guys make millions and millions of dollars. They thought, yeah, it's great to win Stanley Cup, but, they're there to get paid. I don't blame them.
Mookie Betzer says here, Phil's Facts should be the Islanders' Dubas or Dubas. I guess, piddling in mediocrity. Gungun says here, this year, perhaps more than any other before, shows us that you really have to make it into the playoffs. It means diddly if you racked up the most points or finished first in your division.
Didn't Vegas finish first in their division? Didn't Dallas finish first in their division?
Yes.
Didn't Carolina finish first in their division?
Yes.
So the only thing that didn't hold true was Florida. Other than that, you're having 3 of the 4 division winners in the in the semifinals. It does count for something.
Yeah, I'm looking at just to confirm. Yep. Oh no, Colorado. I'm sorry. Colorado outpaced Dallas by 1 point.
Okay.
And Vegas finished atop of their division. So yeah, second in division, first in division, first in the division. fourth in the division.
But you're looking at all these teams. They're all the top, except for Florida. They're all what, the top 6, 7 teams in the league.
Yep, top tier teams.
I mean, that's the way it is.
Freedom Fund Adventure says, why Islanders should give us management change? Do we have any hope the team is getting better?
Mm-mm.
They
took hope away from all the fans. I don't expect anything but mediocre play for years. Won't sell tickets. It's hard. It's hard. Cervelli projects Pierre Engvall gets a 4-year, $4.1 million deal. Do you do that if you're Lou? I say no. Pass on that deal. Absolutely.
He's going to get overpaid because the free agent crop with speedy wingers is so unbelievably low. So somebody will overpay for him, and I hope it's not us.
Okay, and then you want to know why you're in cap trouble, because you're going to give another guy who's a bottom 6 player over $4 million a year. That's why you stay in cap jail. Every year you feel you have to sign the guys that you piss away first-round draft picks and third-round draft picks for. We have to sign them back.
Jay.
No, you don't.
Tim J here, Grumpy.
We are stuck in nowhere land. The fact that is we cannot bring any younger guys up because we cannot get rid of the aging roster, which management keeps endorsing. We don't have any of the younger players in the minors either.
Rick Roma said it's amazing that the Penguins could have beaten Chicago or Ottawa at home, that Florida wouldn't have even made the postseason.
That's right. But you know what? They have a shitty goaltender. Jake says it would be so baller gangster if Lou announced the Stadium Series Islanders Ranger game at the press conference, didn't talk about anything else, and ended it right there. That would be, yeah. Wouldn't that be something? Hey, can we ask you something about the team? No.
Oh my God. JP said Vegas wanted to. Oh, yeah, here it is too. Okay, yes, it does mean something. Punapy Herder says, we don't make the postseason if Anders Lee doesn't score a goal off of Casey DeSmith's jockstrap the middle or mid to end season.
Jari and DeSmith gave us a playoff spot. They did.
Yep. Drew L. Grumpy.
Also, during those Eastern Conference final runs, the majority of our players were still in their 20s. Now they're all outside their primes. They were even at the tail end of their primes then.
Yep, mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
JP said, I must admit, I never totally believed that the Islanders had a legitimate chance to win the cup. When your core is Bailey and Nelson, it's trouble. They showed me more heart than I thought, but there was no way.
Yeah. Just weren't good enough. Just not talented enough. Ponyboy says, lined up for him to take on T. You know, Lee's a golfer.
I don't know what that means.
I don't.
Harry said the Ben cross-check was very ugly. Will he get a multiple game suspension? Yeah, he got a 2-game suspension.
2 games. And that's the end of the year.
Yeah. So he's done for the season.
Yeah.
JP says the 21 offseason murdered us. Parise and Chara, 2021 offseason.
That was the Stanley Cup or bust offseason, as I remember. And you bring in Parise and Chara. That's your upgrade. Okay?
Mario.
Why would you believe they could win the cup with Trotz? He only won it once, and it took Ovechkin, a more talented team, to win, and once at that. And that was against an expansion team.
Yep.
Expansion team. It's the only reason they won. It was an expansion team. It was the only year that Trotz beat Pittsburgh.
Lou's doing the same thing to us that he did before leaving the Devils.
True.
Trade Lee now, says Frank. No, here's the thing. Hold on to him, because at this point, if you really want to start restructuring the team, you're going to have to give up pieces to get rid of Anders Lee, unless you absorb half of his cap hit.
Yes. Eat half the cap hit. Eat it.
JK said, guess who didn't call into your call-in show 2 weeks ago? Lou from the landline. He gives no press conferences and also does not call the Islanders Never Say Die podcast.
And you know, it's funny because I mentioned to TJ after the show that we did not hear from Lou from the landline. I was a little bit upset about that, but I understand the reasoning now.
Florida did nothing at the deadline. Yep, Florida did nothing at the deadline. Thanks for that there. Yeah, destroying the team since Lou knows he's not wanted. No, I think Lou thinks he's wanted, but I couldn't explain as to why they have not addressed the media. It's still mind-boggling. Yeah. All the teams that made win now moves have been eliminated from the postseason.
Yeah, it's a lot of. I know everyone thinks the team's going to get better immediately, but you have to mesh with the room. It's hard. It's hard. That's why it's always better to make your moves in the off season. They cost less, and you got time to build chemistry throughout the year.
Goo rump.
Who is the definitive Uncle Fester, Jack? If you even have to ask this question, I question if you know the show. It has to be Jackie Coogan. Jackie Coogan.
Harry S says here, Lee, Nelson, Sorokin, all rebuild now. I want to be alive to see the Islanders in the finals again. Yeah.
I don't know how old you are, Harry, but I wouldn't count on it. Pony Boy says, why do they allow the clown Bissonnette to be in the same room as Gretzky? He doesn't deserve to be in the same room as Gretzky, let alone host an intermission during a conference series playoffs game. I'll tell you what, though, when Gretzky talks, they all shut up. And the same thing with Van Beesbrook. You know, when Bissonnette talks, nobody really cares. And the same thing really with Anson Carter. But when Gretzky talks, man, that just, you can hear a pin drop. You get a pin drop in that studio. Is he wearing a sweater tonight? That's what I want to know. He always wears that sweater.
He does. Drew L. Grumpy.
All I know is if Florida wins the cup, they need to make a separate banner and hang it in Pittsburgh. Well, they can hang it here too. JP says, TJ, that's categorically unfair to Maurice. He's not my favorite, but saying he's a shit coach is laughable. And you nor I know what happened in Winnipeg. He was there a long time.
The team quit on him. He fucking quit. But and he's just a freaking quitter. I've got no use for Paul Maurice.
Okay. How many years was he there? Like 8 years?
Stepping away midseason like that, it's a coward bitch move.
Well, what was the sense? If you're that unhappy and the team is miserable, instead of him getting fired, it was mutually agreed upon. We don't know. I don't know. I don't think he's the greatest coach in the world, but I don't blame him for that. If he's that unhappy, you know what? It's not worth it if you're that unhappy.
Genius. They're not winning. Florida's not winning right now because of tactical mastermind Paul Maurice behind the bench, creating a fantastic game plan and making sure everything goes according to plan. And we've looked so dominant, even though we're outmatched because of the fantastic and wonderful coaching of Paul Maurice. No, they're winning games because Bobrovsky has been fantastic, and Tkachuk is a freaking clutch as hell player who's kicked it into a whole nother notch. That's why they're winning games. It's nothing to do with Paul Maurice at all.
It's Bobrovsky and Tkachuk. That's the reason.
Drew said, Brett Burns just cup checked Matthew Tkachuk. In my honest opinion, I don't believe Horvat is a savior.
He's not a savior. He's not a savior.
Islanders JJ said, is it weird to say I still have not lost hope in Wallstrom?
No, but he's going to have to step it up. It's this year. He's going to have to make a step up this year. I mean, would you not agree, TJ? He's got to step up this year.
I'm worried about Wallstrom. I am. Didn't really mesh the first last year. Okay, gotcha. And this year with the injury, next year is pretty much a make or break year for him. And that's a lot of pressure to put on a guy who doesn't have a lot of experience and hasn't necessarily gelled in other areas before. So yeah, I'm kind of a little worried. Good says, is it time for a new line of tchotchkes and the Islanders never say die Etsy store, or is it a zero-sum game? Yeah, I can tell you one thing based off of the amount of shirts we sold last time and how much it costs to have people do the designs, probably going to be a zero-sum game. We're just going to keep.
There was one shirt I wanted to do. TJ just didn't do it.
You know what, Grumpy? We created 4 shirts, and I loved them. Grumpy.
Okay. Boys, Tkachuk just got speared in the cup by Burns and tried to use the ref as a shield so the camera wouldn't see it. Well, I'll tell you what. If he knew where those damn cameras were and got himself, he gets 2 extra points for me.
Islanders JJ Grumpy.
Kid's got all the talent, just needs to figure it out. Talking about Wallstrom.
Yep. Frank said, I think and pray that the Islanders have the eyes on a new general manager candidate.
I hope so. I don't think so.
You go, Grumpy. JP.
Numb about not hearing the Joker's Property Brothers, Horse Teeth and Invisible, completely unsurprised.
I do believe. I'm not sure. I don't know what's going on with that. We'll find out. The longer and longer the organization doesn't address the fans, the more and more I'm worried about ownership too, right? Because originally it's just general manager and it's head coach. Let's say we're over a month. Let's say this Saturday, even next Wednesday, we just keep on going on the show and we haven't addressed anything. Are you more curious at that point with general manager or ownership? Because how does an ownership group allow, right? Like if something like, okay, this is, kind of standard quo, you go out and you address the fan base, you want to go ahead and talk about the things you want to address this off season. And like you see your guy not doing that, you usually come and say, hey, Lou, get out there and address the fan base. Can you do that, please?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's not like they're selling the team.
Sure. No, I don't
If they
think
were
so.
selling the team, you'd hear rumblings on that. They're not selling the team. I think it's more on, some maybe they're just saying maybe they're not happy with Lamoriello. Who knows? Maybe Andrew Gross was wrong, and another source that we heard from was right. Who knows?
I don't know. I'd say probably Andrew Gross at this point. It would make no sense not to announce though that you're looking at another candidate or kicking Lou upstairs. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense.
Unless it's been agreed upon and they're just ironing out.
How would that affect? How would that affect you saying Lou Lamoriello is stepping upstairs and we're looking for a new general manager to take his spot?
I don't know.
It doesn't.
I don't know.
Let's look here. Let's keep going on here. Matthew Maggio. Oh my God, that's
talking about Islanders prospects who can ready to step up and be first line wingers. I don't think Matthew Maggio is going to be that guy. Jake says, I got a stupid question. Is it standard procedure that each team's GM and coach address the media at the end of each season?
Yes. Yes, it is. Maggio's at least 2 years away. Yeah, it's best case scenario. Barry Richmond, Grumpy.
Matthew Maggio may become an NHLer, but if he was surefire best to be an impact player, believe me, you would hear more about him as the Islanders would exploit it. I mean, sure, we see, we got a whole summer of Coco the service dog and Squiggy the squirrel and all that stuff that the Islanders roll out every year. You don't have too much about Maggio.
And the dragon planting flowers on Turnpike, the Hempstead Turnpike.
Yeah, Sparky the Dragon.
Oh, my God. Okay, let's pull this up here.
We've had more information on Sparky the Dragon than the actual team.
Isn't that sad? Okay, here we go. This is what Drew sent us.
X doing the next. Hey, you got to get rid of that banner. Everyone's watching. If you will do. Everyone's looking at you. Oh. Everyone's wondering. Everyone's trying to get it right. Get it right. Everybody's working for the weekend. You know what?
I thought you dubbed over that song or said something about the Islanders, but I don't remember.
I think I did. I added some different, but you know what? I thought when I was doing it, I sounded much better, and it was not very good at all. It was terrible, actually.
You don't sing well.
Actually, there was a lag. There was a lag between what I was singing and the music. That's on you. That's your fault.
All right, I'm the one to blame now, huh?
Or whoever sent you that.
No, it's not Drew. He just grabbed a screenshot of what I did. Okay, my God, I lost where I was in the comments. Son of a bitch. Oh, buddy.
8:57 was the last one you put up.
Okay, perfect.
Barry Richmond.
All righty. You're grumpy. Biggest phony to come down the pike in a long time here.
I don't know who he's talking about.
I like UBS Arena. The Canadians hate American hockey. And it's not valid talking about that study. It was a bull crap based on prices of beer and mass transit location from the arena. Okay, gotcha. I figured I had more to play with it when I was glancing over it. JK said, the worst NHL arena is not UBS. I've been to Anaheim, LA, Arizona, Colorado, Montreal, Carolina, and MSG. UBS is by far not the worst.
I think it could be because of the other things. Because, I mean, if you have And it's nice to have outside of a stadium to have like restaurants and stuff like that where you can go there early. You can't even tailgate there. There's a lot of things you can't do, I guess. So is what it
I'm
is.
doing grumpy.
Having attended my first UBS Islanders game this year, I do agree with a few pointers. Everything is overpriced. $50 parking, that's not super close to the arena. No Islanders Museum, etc. Well, there you go. So maybe it's starting to sink in people's eyes. Drew says TJ is a betting site. What do they know about going to an arena? I think UBS is better than Florida's arena, and the only thing that's valid are the prices there are expensive. Well, if that's what they're kind of gauging stuff on, maybe it's like bang for your buck type thing.
Yeah, that's what
Maybe
it is.
that's what they meant.
Okay. Idiot Box says here. What if the Islanders been offensive minded? They are there where offense goes to die.
Who said this comment? Idiot
Box.
box. Idiot box. I like the way you said that.
Gustav Farley, grumpy.
I don't believe what I heard regarding the new Islanders arena.
Yeah. Okay, we're just gonna skip over the rest of those Islander the arena
Yeah,
comments.
I mean, I can understand if they're saying about prices and infrastructure. Okay. Yeah, it needs some work. Okay, we'll agree on that. We'll agree on that.
Barzal is a stiff. Sorokin is gold. And the Ice Capades, Matty Barzal.
Oh, hold on. Is Idiot Box someone else we might know? No. How many people say Ice Capades, Matty Barzal?
I don't know. Freedom Fund Adventure, grumpy.
Only 2 reasons to not address the public. Organization is bringing in a new member of management staff, GM or assistant GM, but the man is still in the playoffs. Or 2, Lou is chicken. See, I would think the first. Jake says, I'm 46, and the existential dread of us not winning a Stanley Cup started at the end of the 2021 playoffs.
Yep. And I'll say this too, Grumpy, at least regarding the first comment on this. If you're bringing in a new member to be a general manager, you could still announce, hey, we're looking for another general manager. We're going to have a new general manager. You don't have to announce who the hell it is.
Well, maybe they want to wait. Maybe it's somebody from Carolina.
Yeah.
Maybe that assistant GM from Carolina. They know what the hell they're doing.
I don't know. Andrew Gross just makes me think otherwise. State of survival, Grumpy.
Lou and Dubas appreciate each other and are on good terms. Dubas has a decent shot of being Ottawa's GM. Do you think that would make DeBrincat a possible move? Maybe trade Wahlstrom. I would move Wahlstrom for DeBrincat. I absolutely would at this point. I don't think he's going to Ottawa. I think Pittsburgh wants him. Idiot Box says the Islanders are putting out the cast of Cocoon out there in 2023-24. That's an old group. TJ, have you ever heard of the movie Cocoon?
I didn't even know what the hell that meant. I was like, Cocoon. I'm like, what the hell is that about? I wasn't sure if somebody put the wrong word in there, but.
All right. I'm not going to explain Cocoon to you tonight.
Idiot Box, Grumpy.
What potential? Has that clown ever put up 30 goals?
Yeah, talk about Matt Barzal.
Oh, okay.
He's got potential there. I don't know. Yeah, I think Matt Barzal's got potential. Matt Barzal is overrated, says Harry. Oh, God. Michael M said, okay, but like Bob going on a 940 or 950 run is the real reason that they are there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been sensational.
Tommy B says here, Malcolm Ledecky, building stores in the south lot of Belmont. Going up fast. Oh, God. Michael M, I'm sorry, says they have one of the worst defensive cores in these playoffs. Talking about
Florida. And that was the worry about Florida going in, right? Not good enough defensively. But I tell you what, they've really bought in, and Bobrovsky's bailed them out numerous times. He's been really, really good. Sal P. That's one of those shirts we were talking about. We've been needing to upgrade talent on the wing for the last 5 or 6 years, and we're all still waiting. Still waiting.
Can I say something about Sal's shirt, Grumpy?
Please do.
Look at this Giga Chad himself. He's got a Matty in the Jag shirt on, and he is, look at this. He's got Grumpy. He's just giving off Sigma Alpha vibes because he's got the Islanders Never Say Die merchandise. He's got the threads on his body right there. Sal looking like a freaking stallion over there. Grumpy, Lee wasn't 35.
He played like he was 40. Okay. 7 years, $7 million per. He sucks. We talked about it the day that contract was signed, how bad it was. And as usual, I've been proven right. As always, not as usual, as always.
Harry S. Grumpy.
Sabres are going to be much improved. They're just a couple of pieces away from being a legit playoff team. Couple of moves. Idiot Box says Lou Lamoriello is putrid. He hasn't done anything since the cap era began. Exactly. He's not. He's stuck in this, the prehistoric dinosaur age.
Robert Marshall says, at least Barzal wants to be here. And I'm late. I'm assuming TJ was late as well, says Chris C.
Is correct.
Oh, God. And then Mario Grumpy.
That's the future and the here and now.
Let's see. Harry Schultz Grumpy.
Barzal's not a finisher, and he'd be a second liner on another playoff team. I'm going to say if he had more talent on the wing, or if he had more talent around him on his line, he'd be a first-line player.
I do agree. He could be a guy who's a first-line player and really a guy who would put up points if he had the right supporting cast.
If he was on Carolina, he's a first-liner. And if you're going to put him on wing, he's a first-liner for every team, every single team. He's a first-liner for Florida, Dallas, and Vegas. Definitely Vegas.
Drew L. Grumpy.
Honestly, I'm not going to lie. I wish Florida kept their logo from the 2000s. I hated that one. The current one looks more like a Florida FC rather than a Florida Panthers, if that existed.
Frank Grumpy.
Imagine we still had Taves, and if Lou had a clue and got a first and a second for Varley and Mayfield, who we will lose for nothing. Fire Lou. Exactly. He's to blame for we said last year when Trost got fired, everything else that happens poorly is all on Lamoriello. Every single bit of it.
We could have left like Pajama Boy, he could have left like Pajama Boy talking about Matt Barzal. He could have.
He will be looked at more positively than John Tavares at the end of the day.
Greg Frost.
Just the fact Lame Lou and Lambert are still lingering as bad news. These new owners are stupid.
And I tell you, got a comment here from Stephen C saying, watch Barzal footy for the year. A steady decline. He progressively pulled up earlier and earlier through the year. By January, he was barely over the blue line before doodling into an odd man rush.
Who is he playing with? Again, it's who he's playing with. They just stand around. They can't skate. He needs guys who can skate. Like putting me and TJ on a line for him. We could do.
It's like putting Leo Komarov on his first line.
I mean, it's like putting Anders Lee and Leo Komarov on his line.
It's like putting P.A. Parento on the first line of John Tavares. Oh, wait a second. Where have we seen that from? Oh, fantastic general manager, Garth Snow. It's funny. Did you happen to see the Arthur Staple article, Grump?
No.
Or the Arthur Staple article about Garth Snow?
No.
He addressed, I was like, you look at some of the team, the core and the nucleus that the Islanders had in order to get to back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals was one built by Garth Snow, and he went through why is Garth Snow not getting any looks or any interviews to be another general manager, be a general manager anywhere else?
Islanders general managers where GMs go to die. They never get another job. Never.
Peter Laviolette's the only one.
No, he was never GM.
Oh shit, my bad. I'm sorry.
You got
Milbury,
Neil Smith, Garth Snow, and the fossil
in the grave.
He'll be dead.
Yeah. Taves is a huge fuck up. Even Toronto has a better future than the Islanders. Yeah, Toronto definitely has a better future than the Islanders. I saw an article that Matthews wants out. No, he does not. He said in the post-series interview that he wants to stay in Toronto.
Oh, he talked too? The GM spoke. Even GM wasn't even employed by the team anymore.
Eddie Box says, I say attendance drops by 40% next year. This product is bad. Well, that's the thing, right? We're not entertaining. We don't play entertaining hockey. And when you're not winning, well, it's the shitty combo of we're not entertaining to watch and we don't win games. So why do people go? Coach Tommy B. Grumpy.
Some of the other interesting Cervelli predictions: Patrick Kane, 3 years, $5.5 million. I tell you what, That's a worthwhile signing. That's pretty. Think about the pieces of shit on this team that make more money who aren't even close to as good as Patrick Kane is now. Think about it. Tyler Bertuzzi, would you take Patrick Kane 3 years, 5.5, or Anders Lee 4 years, 7.5? Seven. Who are you taking?
I take Patrick Kane.
Thank you. Tyler Bertuzzi, 5 years, 5.25. That's too much for him. Tarasenko, 3 and 5.
I think that's a little too much. Yeah.
Orlov, 5.75. He'll get more than that, I predict.
And you guys should be worried about Horvat. It's Lad 2.0. Robert, there was one guy who said he hated that trade immediately as soon as it was made. I'm one of those guys. So
I like the player. I hated the trade.
Chris C says here, I hate to say it, but Barzal is a 100-point player a year. If he's on a team, that's younger and faster, talented pool to complement his playmaking ability. Look at how Anthony Beauvillier did once moving. Exactly. And Anthony Beauvillier is not, he's just a middle six guy. He's on a good team. He's a third line guy who's a streaky scorer, but he gets put on the first line with a legitimate line mate who plays that kind of style. I mean, he put up points. That's crazy. Could you imagine the guy who's talented like Matt Barzal playing with other talented players that play that style? Watch out.
He's a better Pierre Engvall is what Anthony Beauvillier is.
Sure. Robert Marshall said nobody should buy season tickets.
That's how you tell them you're pissed, by not spending your dollars.
Yep. That's what it is. Oh, man. Barzal's a bum. Oh, no, he's not a bum. Come on, stop. Okay, let's see here. Lane Lambert is awful, too. No. Eddie Box, he's not the reason why we failed last year. Does he make mistakes? Sure. Eddie Box, but he's not the issue on this team. He's just not. And the Islanders have never in their history signed a UFA in his prime. Ever!
True. Never.
Lou has nothing to say and nothing to do, says Tim J. He's got a whole bunch of free time on his hand. I'll say that much. Idiot Box says, I agree, Drew. Most Islander fans are Mongoloids. God almighty. God almighty. Oh, no.
Freedom Front Adventure says, other than getting another comment, what benefit do you believe you are gaining from someone typing in 5-star review in the comments? Reviews.
There's no benefit, but Grumpy just likes to say 5-star reviews. Like, put 5-star review in the description. It does no benefit, Grumpy, at all. Just as another comment. That's all it is.
Okay, whatever.
Frank Grumpy.
I like Ratu a lot, but he hasn't done much of yet. Lack of skating. Lou's horrible at trades. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be the Islanders' new GM is on one of these teams battling for the cup. That's what I hope. That is my hope. Is best case scenario.
If that happens, you'll see the outlook of, depending on what the new GM does, the outlook will be much more rosy. If this GM comes in and says, hey, we're going to win a Stanley Cup. Remember that Stanley Cup that we were promised a few years ago, Stanley Cup or bust? We're going to keep doubling down.
I don't see it.
Rangers fans are the worst. Let's see here. Okay, here. Coach Tommy B said if Bobrovsky wins the cup, he's earned his contract.
Okay.
I kind of agree with that. $10 million a year, but if you win a cup all based off his back, sure.
Okay.
Holy crap, what a good save by Bobrovsky. And if the Islanders trade Sorokin, you must start a rebuild. No other way around it. Yeah. If you trade Sorokin, here's the thing. If Sorokin doesn't have a contract signed and doesn't sign a contract extension by the start of the year, gotta trade him. Gotta trade him.
Don't let him get to free agency.
You can't let him even get to the freaking trade deadline.
No.
Because at the trade deadline, you're gonna get pennies on the dollar for a guy like that.
You should know if you can re-sign him this offseason. If he says no, you have to actively move him before the start of the season.
If he says I want to wait to sign my contract, see you later. Sorry, buddy.
That's why you don't give guys contracts right up to being a UFA. It's why you don't do it. And the stupid old bastard does it all the time. All the time he does it. Then it doesn't matter because he overpays no matter what.
Mario Grumpy, look at this comment.
I heard Lamarillo was pissed because the Stadium Series game was leaked.
Tommy B says, outdoor games in large stadiums sucks. I've done it. It was horrible. Yeah.
You can't see anything.
It's just like you're paying to go there to make sure, I can get some memorabilia in the merchandise
Be
and
part of the
say I
event.
went there. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you can't see shit. Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, I was at that game. It was cold AF. Idiopox says, if Josh Bailey plays, the Islanders will win. That guy kills the Rangers. Oh, God.
He kills the
No,
Islanders too.
no young talent in the cupboard is bare. Yep,
True.
absolutely, Idiopox. Drew L. Grumpy.
I still remember the time where John Tortorella talked so much junk on Anthony Duclair, and then the next time they faced each other, Duclair scored a hat trick. I think Anthony Duclair's got a little bit of dog in him. When things are going good, Anthony Duclair's good. When things are going bad, he's not so good.
Just to give an update here, about 3 or 4 minutes into the third period, Florida Panthers are still leading the Carolina Hurricanes 3-2. Jake K says, I agree about the Stadium Series games. They're not special. The ice looks bad, and it doesn't seem, like a good fan experience. Watching the game in freezing temperatures. Yep.
Yeah.
If you did one a year, it would be special. I remember what used to be one a year. It's like, holy shit, they're having a game outside. Now it's like, hey, we're trying to get 20 or 30 Stadium Series games in every single year. Like, okay, it's just another game then.
It was like on
There's no
January
special.
1st. It was like New Year's Day.
At 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yep.
That was great. Oh, yeah, that was great. Jeff Sobel says Pulak and Lee have no trade clauses. Yep, I don't think Pelech has a no trade clause. Well, I'll pull that up here, Grumpy.
Well, you know what? Whoever doesn't have one should be on the block. Idiotbox says Duclair is a head case. He plays defense when he feels like it. That's why he is so well traveled. Yeah, when things are going well with him, he's one of those a front runner player. When things are going great, he's great. When scuffling a little bit, he's not so good.
No trade clause also for Pelech. Both Pelech and Pulak both have no trade clauses.
Let's say they sign back Pierre Engvall. You think they're going to give him a no trade clause for a bottom six guy?
They're going to give him a 4-year contract. There'll be no trade clause or a modified no trade clause. If Lou Lamoriello is at the helm, every fucking free agent that Lou Lamoriello is here always gets a trade or a modified no trade clause or no trade clause. Every single one of them.
Stunning.
Dan P. Grumpy.
Man, this whole stream so far has been depressing. I have a question.
Dude, these guys are telling the truth, says Idiobox. Well, I appreciate it. But go ahead, Grumpy.
What should we be excited about? What should we be? Tell me what we should be excited about. The team hasn't come out and said anything. What have they said about the team going forward? What makes you think that next year is going to be better than this year when we're a year older with the same cast and crew that wasn't good enough to win this year? It was lucky to get in the playoffs. Lucky to get in the playoffs.
The longer and longer we wait without addressing the press, the more and more my worries and angst continues to grow. And here's the thing. If Andrew Gross did not come out with that article and say, sources indicate that Lou Lamoriello and Lane Lambert are back, well, I would think differently. But when a guy like that from Newsday who's connected, right? I'd like to think Andrew Gross has connections, right? Writing for Newsday, he has people who are in the know. When he says something like, we're expecting that they're going to be back, and they still have not addressed the public, that's an issue. If they had not addressed the public at this point, and then, Andrew Gross, didn't or no one was intimating that they're coming back, I would definitely think that for certain we're getting a new general manager. But at this point, I still believe with what Gross said. Well, Nietzsche just got friendly fired. By the puck. Oh gosh. Frank Grumpy says Palmieri is good and his contract is okay. Grumpy man. Once again, he did well in the playoffs. He could be a Stanley Cup winning MVP. And you still complain about him. Oh no, he's saying he could win a cup and an MVP and you still will complain about him.
He's a third liner who makes $5 million a year and he's in his 30s. That's not a good contract. No.
Bettman is a genius. He works for the owners and he makes the money. Oh
True
gosh.
That's what they're there for.
He destroyed the game, is what he said. Frank says Lee's the biggest problem, or Lee's a big problem, and he's a crappy captain. Barzal says all the right shit. Yeah, Barzal needs to be put to captain. Absolutely. Drew L said the thing about Florida is a lot of their current players were guys who necessarily didn't pan out on other teams, but they just needed to change the scenery. Yep. Verhaeghe,
a lot of guys drafted by Florida, players who were drafted originally by Florida. A lot of those players.
Let's continue on here, Grumpy. Idiobox.
They were mediocre in the regular season. They just got hot, and Bob has been overachieving. or he's been playing as good as he has ever. People forget he's won a couple of Conn Smythes. A couple of Vesnas as well. It's not a bad goalie.
Frank Grumpy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't know you put up another one. Grumpy old man, you don't improve the team by trading everyone away. We have a really good core. We do not have a really good core built around that with a decent GM. How many guys are part of the core? Realistically, going forward.
3 or 4.
That's it.
When we have a chance, I think, to be competitive again, if we have to enter in some sort of revamp, rebuild, whatever, 3 or 4.
Barzell, Horvat, Dobson, Sorokin. That's it. Everybody else is 30 or on the wrong side of 30, 29, 30. By the time we're good again, they're all going to be gone.
To be fair to Florida, they were President's Trophy winners last season, so I guess it's only natural. Yeah.
Really
Chris
talented.
said, you can't even compare the Panthers to the Islanders. That's insane. Buffalo is knocking the Islanders out of the wild card spot next season with 1 or 2 good offseason moves.
That's all they need. That's all they need. They're young and getting better all the time. That's a team that's on the upswing, without a doubt. Think about how bad Buffalo's been. They were, 1 point out of a playoff, 2 spots out of a playoff spot? 91 points they had.
Drew L. Grumpy.
See, guys, if our organization transitions away from the dinosaur mentality, this is what our team could look like once the rebuild is complete. Isn't that just great to watch?
Talking about, there was some fantastic play here by Florida where they made a little tic-tac-toe and scored a goal. That third goal they had scored. And I'll pull it up on screen, Grumpy.
When was the last time you saw a creative goal from the Islanders that didn't involve Matt Barzell? I can't even tell you. When Tavares was here?
Grumpy, next comment.
Would you trade Nelson to Boston for Hall? No, I would not. Nelson's better than Hall.
It was Lomgren. Was he the guy who scored the third goal?
I don't know. No idea.
Okay. Keep reading comments, please.
Can you play the clip where Lou says, Chris is a great hockey mind? Not without throwing up, I can't.
I don't even know where the hell that is, to be honest with you. But I'll get this goal pulled up, Grumpy.
Okay, next comment. Chris C. says, anyone still mad about Lou not being able to address the press about fashing and deflecting to Chris Lamoriello? Was that just me? No, we played that one many times. Drew says, conspiracy theory here. Since Lou is completely inept of using technology, I would say he's Amish. Okay.
No, probably not. If you keep reading comments, I'm getting this pulled. I guess you didn't understand what I asked, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and watch this goal here. But I was trying to get this pulled up. Okay, let's pull it through here, Grumpy. Is this going to be without sound? Okay. Let's watch this goal they scored. I believe this is the third goal.
Nice move.
Oof. My God.
Nice.
That is beautiful. Look at the effort.
What's the one thing that they all do? All the Panthers do here. They keep skating. They keep moving their feet.
Why, Grumpy? They didn't just have one guy cement his ass in front of the net and say, I'm just going to stand here, try to...
Nope. Well, they just float. They just drift and cruise instead of moving their feet. Move their feet. They want to score. They want to be in position. And they're a really good offensive team. They have been for a number of years. They're really good offensively.
Look at him avoid this check here, too. I'm about to put this in half speed. It's a great play by him all the way around. Avoids that check. Helps pester the guy. And keeps the puck alive. He gets this pass off here. Whoop, a little chip pass.
A little saucer pass.
Behind, a little spinorama pass. Fights his way through and then gets the tap and goal. I mean, that's beautiful all the way around by Florida.
Yep.
Lomgren.
Man, I tell you what, they're making Carolina's defense look bad.
And Carolina's defense is good.
It's really good. It's because look at that. Just tic-tac-toe, bing, boom. Bang, boom, goal. Ooh.
Wow. So, fantastic goal.
They're freaking good. They're good offensively. I don't think they're great defensively. They're playing well enough defensively now. They still need defensemen. Aho is an AHL, or he's a number 7 defenseman. That's what he is.
Coach Tommy B.
I can totally see Dubas going to the Penguins as new GM. That's why they asked Toronto for permission to talk to him.
Yep, I think he's going. That's probably where he goes. Look at this. Chris C said 5-star comment. That's all
Thank
for
you,
you
Chris.
there, Grumpy. The only sport I'm confident about being a general manager in is basketball. After that, I wouldn't have a clue. Chris C says our biggest asshole is Ross Johnston. And, that's sad. I love Ross, but we need a big a-hole star instead of Aho. PJ is a certified dinosaur. He doesn't use an air fryer. Yeah, that's me. Coach Tommy Baffy, you're grumpy.
Lou has been at MetLife the past month surveying the stadium and the land, but has not yet completed his assessment. What does he have to do with that?
Is that a joke?
What is he, a freaking architect now, too? We don't need this old bastard up here.
Hold on, is that a joke?
You're coming out of this freaking tunnel, okay, brother? That's where you're coming from.
That has to be a joke, right?
You're going to be in the visiting. You're going to be in the visiting dugout, and the Rangers are going to be in the home team dugout. That's the extent of all you need to know.
Frank, you're grumpy.
God damn. More and more, I believe the Islanders' new GM is on these final 4 teams. That's exciting and hopefully true. I hope so too. I really do. I'll feel so much better about the team. It's going to take a while before they're good enough to be competitive, to be true competitors for a Stanley Cup, but at least it's a step in the right direction. Alexander says, what do you guys think of Jamie Benn's antics? I never thought Ben would dip that low. He's frustrated. Just frustrated. Game they thought that they'd be beating Vegas, and it's just not happening.
Jamie Benn, obviously what he did was can't do shit like that anymore. That's like some street hockey, man, he just pummeled the shit. Man, you talk about having a nasty motherfucker, a guy who's got a fuck you mentality. I'm not saying you do dumb shit like that, because what it is stupid, right? But it's like you gotta do that. I want you to carry that same exact sort of aggression, finishing your checks, getting to loose pucks, back checking. That's where I want to see that same because what that was frustration and aggression. Like, boom, I'm gonna two-handed with stick you right to the freaking head. I want to see the aggression and the anger in other portions of your game, not in that portion of your game. I want to see you carry that forward in applicable spots where it can lead to team success, not failure.
Max Domi also took one of those type of penalties that game.
Does it shock you? Domi, I kind of honestly expect that. He just called his dad up and said, "Hey, Pops,
what should I do here?"
He learned that. He learned that from a freaking kid, So he's, with Max Domi, but with Jamie Benn, I'm like, I have always liked Jamie Benn too, and I'm like, can't be doing dumb shit. Like, you watch that, I'll pull it up on screen. You watch that replay of yikes, man. Yikes.
It's a total frustration thing. Total frustration. If you're going to hit a guy like that, you might as well knock him out of the series. Didn't happen. Deidre says, I don't think they would trade Sorokin. If they did, the Islanders would be a laughingstock of the NHL and would break Ellen O'Neill's heart.
Okay. Let's put it here. Man, now people are giving a whole bunch of Jamie Benn where it's like them fighting. Or it's like, oh, Jamie Benn got knocked out. Enjoy this. Yeah, he's an awful captain. I wouldn't go that far. I don't think he's an awful captain. I just think it was a terrible frustration move. I just wish he would have. Anyway, Grumpy, I got it pulled up almost. Drew L. Grumpy.
I think Tony stopped being a fan of this show. He went ghost on the chats.
He's gone. Tony Cheese is gone forever.
He commented earlier today.
Oh, didn't hear it.
And then where was the contact made? And I believe the contact was in the jaw area.
Oh my God! It looks worse and worse the more you watch it.
Well, in slow-mo, it looks worse too.
Oh.
Well, I think the stick hit him in the face, and he got pissed.
The guy has his hand up like, don't fucking hit me in the face.
Bam!
Bam! I'm like, Jesus Christ. Oh, was he expecting nobody to see that? Like, this is just, it's aggression and it's frustration. I can use your energy doing what you need to do. Back checking, forward checking. Okay,
why do you think he got 2-game suspension?
I can't believe it's only 2 games.
Okay, well, maybe Dallas wins this one and they lose back in Vegas, and this way he can play starting next year. That's the reason.
It's in the jaw area.
Oh.
You see right there. Yeah, right across the jaw. I
like how I pretend like, oh, I fell to the ground. Let me go to my knees real quick over here.
Contact was in the jaw area. You'll see right there. Yeah,
That's a good
right across the
cross-check,
jaw.
though.
I certainly support a 5-minute major in a game misconduct here if that's what they ultimately go with.
And that would be huge, obviously, to lose their captain,
Whoa.
Ben, an important player, 33 goals in the regular season, and to give.
But and then
What do you
You
think?
know,
Dallas?
you know he regretted that as soon as he did it. As
Yeah,
soon as he
he's
stood
like,
up, you knew he regretted it. It's
Like,
it's
why?
a frustration thing because I think they were down 3-0 early in that game.
Trying to
And,
change
like,
the tenor of the game by cross-checking a guy in the face when he's
you
on the
let
ground.
some goon do that. Send somebody out who's back of the. Send Matt Martin out there to do that. Cal Clutterbuck, not your best player.
Yeah, I was about to say this is a Ross Johnson thing. This is not like I'm a star in the league thing.
If it
My
was
God.
Ross Johnson, he would have been suspended from the league forever.
A full season suspension. Oh man, I tell you, yeah, that's yeah, it's not a good one. Not a good look there for Jamie Benn, that's for certain. Watch it one more time, just in oof. I wish you'd carry some of that aggression over to everything else he does. That's all I'll say. Like finishing checks.
Drew, there we go. If Phil was our GM, first thing he'd do is trade Dobson. No, the first thing he'd do is get fired for all his stupid trades. Or you know what he'd realize? Man, all that stupid shit I've been posting all the time, nobody's biting on my dumbass trade ideas. That's the first thing he'd learn.
Alexander Grump.
I'm sorry you guys did. Man, my mind has been all over the place. Taking care of the baby, working, man. Yeah, totally understand.
That cute little baby there, Alexander. My little brownie Grump.
Boston made history this season and couldn't get out of the first round. Did their age show in the playoffs? In that instance, they're no better than the Islanders. They are an older team, and I think Boston's going to be much different next year. And here's the thing. Their best players are their older players.
I think coaching decisions hurt them big time.
Yeah, Montgomery, I don't know. And here's the thing.
I didn't understand the goalie decision when Olmark was hurt like that. You continue to roll him out there where it's like, oh, well, actually, he's going to need this and he won't be able to play for XYZ amount of time period. Dude, switch to Swayman. Be proactive about something like that.
I mean, they pushed Florida to 7 games, right? 7 games?
Yeah, 7 games.
They played them tougher than anybody, right?
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Greg Frost, Grumpy.
These owners should grow a pair and go find a relevant GM and coach. 100% agree.
About 10 minutes left remaining. Florida still has a 3-2 lead. Florida on the power play is one scary-ass team.
They have offensive talent.
Alexander
says, TJ Grump, put a team together using the all-time greats. Mine is Bork, Coffee, Gretzky, Yager, Bossy, and Billy Smith. Okay. God.
Where's Bobby Orr?
Yeah, Bobby Orr for certain. Gretzky, Lemieux.
I was about to say Lemieux too.
And Bossy. I'll put that as, people get Gretzky and Lemieux played together in 1987.
There's no way in hell Billy Smith goes on my goalie list. There's so many goalies, but like historically, Dominic Hasek's the guy I'm putting. Dominic Hasek or Waugh.
Dominic Hasek. I think Hasek over Waugh or even Brodeur. I never thought Billy Smith was a great goalie. I always liked Chico more. I think Billy Smith gets in the Hall of Fame because he won 4 Stanley Cups. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. I never thought he was, the greatest. I didn't think he was even, Grant Fuhr I thought was a better goalie than Billy Smith. But got to be Hasek. Even over Waugh, it's got to be Hasek and Brodeur. It's got to be Waugh. I'm sorry, Hasek.
Coach Tommy B said Yankees up 4-1. Michael M saying Florida's winning because Bobrovsky is a .940 save percentage. Yep.
It sure helps. He's been great.
Drew Grumpy.
I don't think Maurice is a great coach either, but I think Maurice has contributed in instilling a culture of grit and toughness. Adding Kachuk helps, but if you watch the interviews, you'll see.
Okay. I haven't watched any of their interviews, so maybe I need to reconsider. Maybe I'm wrong on Paul Maurice. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to reconsider. Harry S. Grumpy.
Kachuk was the paddles that started the Panthers on. Absolutely. They need a heart transplant. They got one.
Dave P.
David P. says, do you guys think Lou is quiet because maybe he has one of these 4 coaches left in the playoffs for the Islanders coaching job? I don't think so. No
way.
You think TJ, stop eating during the podcast.
Yeah, that's me. My little brownie, Grumpy.
Had no interest in the new Flash movie until I saw the preview. I heard it was pretty good. Michael Keaton is in it. He's my number one Batman. Christian Bale, number two. TJ Grump, what's your favorite? Who's your favorite Batman?
The only one I know is Christian Bale.
Christian Bale is my favorite, even more than Michael Keaton. I thought Christian Bale was the best.
What the heck did I just watch? Says Coach Tommy B. I don't know what we were showing on screen. Oh, you dancing. Yeah, Grumpy dancing. Everybody working for the weekend. I figured to make the podcast laugh a bit since happiness was a bit down.
I just wish they'd tell us something, because when you're not hearing anything, you just get more depressed.
I'll be honest. It's not even like we could say, well, we're going to get excited talking about some prospects or talking about this. Or, I mean, there's nothing.
Draft picks.
Nothing.
I mean, think about it. What do we got to go down to pick 45 or pick 50 before we pick? It's like, I mean, shit. Here's the thing. My NHL prospect
knowledge is not limited to 50 plus or 100 plus.
Yeah, prospect is not. It's not 50. I'm gonna tell you that right. Drew says, "Oh yeah, by the way, so apparently there's possibly going to be a new owner for the Senators, and it's a three-way race between Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds has already been eliminated. Him, Snoop Dogg. I think they were all together. They're all just rumors. Ryan Reynolds' group has already said no. That was last week. They said no.
My little brownie, Grumpy.
Unless there's some groundbreaking news, really don't care about the end of the season presser. What can Lou possibly say that we haven't already heard? That he's leaving. He could say that. I've had a storied career. I'm 800 years old. I can't do this anymore. That's what he should say. Not good enough.
What they say usually in those post-game pressers are, this is where things went wrong. And this is how I think we can address that to put that in the right direction. Or this is what we need to do to change direction of the team. I more want to hear what direction the team's headed in. That's what I want to hear. Are all these, well, we don't need much change, just keep on doing exactly the same thing we've always done. I want to see if that's still the mentality we have after this year's failure. That's more what I'm concerned about. Tony, look, Grumpy, Tony G's.
I had to have a tough talk with my father yesterday. He wants to keep these guys together and try again. Holy shit, Tony.
No, Tony Cheese. God,
he now thinks
put your father out of his misery there, Tony Cheese.
He now thinks he won't be able to see another cup with his son behind. He goes, sad day for the Cheese family. Here's the thing. Yep, and he's probably just about my age. That's right. Here's the thing. If you keep the team together, the longer you keep it together, the less chance you have of seeing them win. That's the way I'd explain it to him.
You know what you just do, Tony Cheese? You know what you do, Tony Cheese? You got to call your dad up like I do with Grumpy and just say, you saw your last cup, Grumpy. That was back in 84, my friend.
83.
83, Grumpy, the last cup you saw.
True.
It's a sad truth of it. Hopefully we'll get to see one in our lifetime. That'd be nice, Tony Cheese. That's what I'm hoping for.
Would be nice.
David D, Grumpy.
Hey, boys. What is it about all these Barzal insults? He's the second best player on his team besides Sorokin. Barzal has had 3 to 4 players on his line, from Casper the Ghost to Joshua Tree. What do you expect? They're all third-line players. Oh, fourth-line players. Exactly. Surround them with talent and watch them take off. They suck. We got a whole bunch of team of sucks.
Nick D said, I thought Bill Torrey went to Florida, but I could be wrong.
He did. That was a long time ago.
Frank.
He's dead, I think. Oh, my God. Here we go. TJ, we play entertaining hockey. Don't push the fake news. We do not play entertaining hockey. Sorry. No.
Oh, no. Last 15 games, Bavili had 3 fucking points.
Sounds like Bo Horvat.
Actually sounds better than Bo. He had more home points than Bo Horvat this year.
Nick D says, lose defensive style will ruin Matt Barzal and no-show Bo. Time to fire Lamoriello. Absolutely.
Looky here, Grumpy. Look, Nick D, give us
5-star review. The Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I think Idiot Box was a Rangers fan that stumbled upon our podcast.
Maybe.
I just like the name Idiot Box. You know what? You want to know what my dad used to call the Idiot Box, TJ?
Suggestion box or something.
Television was the Idiot Box.
Yeah, a lot of dumb things go on the television. That's for certain. Drew says, "Hold on, TJ. Let me get in Yelp so I can give you guys a 5-star review." There it is.
Yeah.
Will played 3 lousy months with bums, Nick. Give him a break. He had Barzal. Him and Barzal were on fire for that short time period together. Next year, Bo and Barzal blow up and score a lot. Frank, man, Frank.
I think they'll definitely be better next year. That line. They need a legit first line winger to play with them, though. A Big Islander fan says Bailey is a killer, all right. Kind of like the movie Slapshot. Dave's a killer. Dave Carlson. Dave's a man. And then the classic 9 from the movie, Dave was a mess.
Radka Gudis has a Santa Claus beard going on.
He does. Stahl acts his way to a power play. There's like there's 3 stalls playing this game. 2 for Florida, 1 for Carolina.
5 minutes remaining, still 1 goal lead for Florida.
Mario says it all begun because someone is still butthurt because Barzal was the driving force, his boyfriend getting canned.
Hold on, what?
Boyfriend getting canned. I don't know. Maybe talking about Trotz?
Maybe. I don't know. Oh, yeah, that's probably what it is. I was taking that too literally. B40 says 43 years ago today, Bobby Nystrom's overtime cup winning goal.
Tonelli, to Nystrom, he scores. The Islanders win the Stanley Cup.
Milo Brownie said some teams do great rebuilds, other teams do horrible ones. I'm guessing Lou would do a horrible rebuild, and the pain would continue for at least a decade.
Yeah,
that's what I was about to say. I'm expecting the worst case scenario in a rebuild. I'm expecting we start it. We've got to do a rebuild during the rebuild because that's most times what happens. It's not where everything hits in stride and the first rebuild happens in 5 or 6 years. You're in great shape. It's usually, oh crap, 4 or 5 years from now, crap. But not like in the way the team's constructed. We're going to have to rebuild during the rebuild. And in reality, it takes 7 or 8 or 9 years. And you're like, son of a bitch, there goes a decade. A decade of my life where the Islanders were not competitive again.
You have to be able to draft and draft well.
Yep.
That's the key.
Yep. And it was a joke. Okay, gotcha. Perfect. Ben could have broken broke Stone's neck. He shouldn't be doing stuff like that. The truth is nobody knows if Lou's even alive at this point. Oh man. He was talking, oh gosh. Jamie Benn had a Sparta moment. It was only 1-0 when Ben did that. Jesus, that makes it even worse.
Yeah.
1-0, you do some dumb shit like that. Yeah. Coach Tommy B said, Ben lost his head, plain and simple. 5 games is what I would have let him have.
Yeah, you could say that too.
David D. Grumpy.
If we do not make one good addition to our team and roll out the identical team next season, then from ownership to GM should be fired by the fans. And I don't want to say, well, hey, we got Bo Horvath. No, he was with the team that sucked and didn't win at the end. What are your summertime additions to make the team better?
Drew L said maybe Jeremy Swayman isn't as good. You'd think TJ, I remember because I had him as my backup for fantasy, 87% save. No, he had much higher than 87%.
In the regular season, he did. Yeah.
Okay. Jeremy Swayman's a good goalie. Do not disparage Jeremy. I like Jeremy Swayman better than I like Linus Ullmark.
I know you do.
Always have, always will.
They should have started Swayman in game 6.
Absolutely, they should. We talked with Phil's facts about that.
Yeah.
Harry Schultz, Grumpy.
Smith was the best money goaltender.
Dominic Hasek, man.
Yeah, Dominic Hasek.
Big
He
honor.
was a great money goalie. Islanders don't win the 4th cup without Smith. And he was really good. He was absolutely really good in that series against Edmonton. Canes are buzzing.
They tied up the game. The Canes and Florida Panthers tied it up. Holy shit.
No quitting those Canes.
Wow. The Canes are buzzing. Milo Brownie said, rest in peace to one of the greatest performers, Mrs. Tina Turner. I can't believe Keith Richards is still alive. Kids do drugs. They worked for Keith Richards.
Okay, Tina Turner died. The warden said to me, she's a singer.
Okay, I don't listen to music. Okay, cool.
Oh, fuck. You never heard of Tina Turner? Ike and Tina Turner? Okay, here's the thing. What's love got to do with it? She had a lot of good songs.
Love. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, just secondhand emotion. The warden said to me today, a black female singer died today. Did you hear about it? I'm like, no. Who is it?
I've heard. There might be one or two black female singers there.
And she goes, Aretha Franklin. I said, no.
She's been dead already. God
I said,
almighty.
Aretha Franklin's already dead. She says, well, it was another one. I said, you got to give me a little bit more information for me to figure it out. Thank you, my little brownie. The great Tina Turner unfortunately died today. Rest in peace, Tina Turner.
Is Keith Richards the guy who does American Idol now?
No. Oh, God damn. No. Son of a bitch. No. He's the guy who wrote most all the songs for the Rolling Stones. He was the guitar player.
Okay.
Do you even know who the Rolling Stones are?
I've heard of them. They got a magazine after him, right?
Who's
You like that one, Grumpy?
who's the lead singer of the Rolling Stones? You got to know this.
No, Slash played guitar. Give me a hint.
I'm not giving you a hint.
One hint, damn it. One hint.
Here's the thing. I wish this would have come up tomorrow on the Islanders Never on the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man show, because we'd have a lot of fun with this. It's late in this show, so we're not going to really get. It's Mick Jagger. You ever heard of Mick?
Yeah, I got
yeah, he doesn't even know who Mick Jagger is.
I got some moves like Jagger, Grumpy.
Drew says, I think being a Carolina fan this decade is like the equivalent of being blue-balled.
Panthers look gas, says Harry S. Tony G's, Grumpy.
If me and TJ can't watch a cup with my dad, I'll meet up with TJ and watch them win it while I sit on his lap eating ramen with cut up hot dogs and mayonnaise.
Oh, my God. Yeah, okay, gracious. I'll give you guys 10 stars. Thanks, Alexander. Thanks for the 10 stars, man. The boob tube was
That's
TV.
right. That's right. The boob tube also. Yep.
Oh, isn't that just Twitch TV? That's what it is now, Drew. Alexander says, wow, Mario's comments went right over you guys' heads. Hold on. What did we miss about Alexander or Mario's comment? Oh, yeah, shit. Never mind. Okay, that was the one about. Okay, it's all coming back. Sorry, it's late in the show.
Yeah, I didn't understand that one about his boyfriend getting.
I assume that has to be like people upset that he got Barry Trotz fired. That's why there's a lot of negativity regarding Matt Barzal, because he said he didn't like playing a Barry Trotz style, and that was one of the impetuses and forces to move him out. Looking back on it, I probably think it's probably that and a mixture of Barry Trotz was looking probably to be a GM as well. Those rumors are actually probably true, because that was the next job occupation he took was GM, not a head coach. Yep, Carolina tied it up. Lou is the actor in Silence of the Lambs. Hannibal Lecter. Christ almighty.
No.
Bro, what Jesper Fast just scored a goal literally between Sam Bennett's legs.
Hey, maybe there's a chance Carolina comes back and wins the cup.
Kids, don't do drugs. Bad little.
Bye, bad, my little brownie. Educate the boy, Grumpy. You've never heard of Simply the Best. I mean, I figured that's one you had to have heard that song. It's been like a commercial they've used it on. Wow, TJ. Keith Richards doing American Idol. Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, Keith Richards will outlive us all. Yeah. And Mick Jagger was a genius too.
Jagger, not Jagger. Jagger.
Mick Jagger. Yeah.
It's Mick Jagger.
Mick Jagger. Keith Richards is 100 years old. Wow. Keith Richards is 100. Is that serious? He's about 100?
No.
Okay.
You disgust me, TJ. You don't know Tina Turner and Mick Jagger are? What the fuck?
Simply the Best. I assume that's a song they sing. Right, but let's get your attention here as we finish this up here.
Florida will be moving on to the Stanley Cup Finals.
They must have scored with 30 seconds or something left.
They scored with 4.3 seconds left.
Oh, my God. That's nuts.
Tommy Baffy says, if you don't know the lead singer of the Stones, you should be banned from this podcast for a month.
All righty. I'll take a month vacation. Who's taking my spot, baby? Andrew L. Grumpy.
Uh-oh. Power play for the Panthers with a minute.
Oh, shit. They got a power play. That's what they did, huh?
And Drew says Florida's going to have a minute on the power play, start of OT.
Oh, to clarify, I was referring to D-Cut. Oh, no. I haven't heard from D-Cut in a while.
Kachuk with the game. It's Kachuk again.
I'm telling you, it's tough. It's going to be tough to determine who wins the Conn Smythe. Is it going to be Kachuk or is it going to be freaking Bobrovsky?
Chuck again.
How many game-winning goals does Kachuk need?
Three. Is
He
it
had
three or
3
4 this
overtimes.
series?
3 overtime goals and game-winning goals. I think he's got 4 or 5 game-winning goals in this entire playoffs. Dude, it's almost feels criminal not to give the Conn Smythe to Kachuk or to Bobrovsky because they both have performed so unbelievably.
That's why I said maybe they'll share it.
Oh my gosh. 4 seconds left. 4 seconds left.
Oh, hold on.
What are you looking at, Grumpy? Grumpy, are you frozen?
They're checking for goaltender interference. Going to Toronto.
Oh my God. Does it look like there's goalie interference?
I thought it was Pesce who was blocking Anderson. I don't know. David D says our president and our GM share one thing in common. Guess LOL.
I don't know what that is. They're both president and general. Oh, they're the same person. Lou Lamoriello. Freddie Anderson has complained about goaltender interference.
Oh, Bennett.
It's under review. What's up, Swizzly?
I don't know.
Now it's
Swizzly.
And then Rod.
Bitch some more doing his routine whining for a call. I don't know. His stick was in there. I don't know what the heck's going to happen. He couldn't move. I don't know. Here we go. They're going to make the decision. The good way to end the show. Good goal. The crowd explodes for a second time.
I'll pull up the goal here so everybody can watch it real quick too. If you haven't, or if you were unable to watch.
I mean, good for Florida, right? Good for Florida. I mean, you got to say they outplayed Carolina in this series, and they're better goaltender. It matters. You have a goaltender. Bennett's stick was in there, but it was Pesce, I think, which kind of stopped him from moving. Oh, look at it. Just.
And how far? Hold on. Yeah, he starts to get kind of tackled. Bennett does. My God. What the fuck is Anderson doing so far out of position? Hey, what's Anderson doing so terribly out of position right there? Anderson, oh, shitty goal he is.
Puck takes a bounce to Chuck, and because that's not where it started. No. I mean, he's going over there. He sees that he's got the puck, and that's why he's over there, and he just throws it behind the net. Upsy daisy, and he just comes out from behind the net.
Dude, Kachuk is so fucking good.
He is great.
He's okay. Yeah, I'm gonna do one of those things you hate, Grumpy, but I'm gonna fucking do it. Hall of Fame caliber player.
Oh.
I know you hate that shit, but I'm telling you, if he stays healthy, that's a Hall of Fame caliber guy. Doing what he did, I'm telling you, Hall of Fame caliber player. You disagree?
He's got a long way to go before
it helps the Kachuk name. It helps that he's got the Kachuk name behind.
Yes, it does help.
Too.
It does help. It does.
So I think he's a guy who will be a Hall of Famer no matter what if he stays healthy.
I'll tell you what, though, it helped that Bennett ran in there and kind of stopped Pesce from coming across, which lets him swing all the way outside. Nice. Hey, they deserve to win, and because he's been great. He's been great. They've both been really, really good. Bobrovsky and Kachuk have been phenomenal.
I'm pulling for Florida to win the cup.
Me too.
I hope they do. They're severe underdogs, and pretty much they have been in the majority of these series, but due to fantastic play by a few members and individuals, I mean, Kachuk really just pulling this team up by the bootstraps and Bobrovsky standing on his head. It's the reason why they're winning games. We don't have the Kachuk. People even are going to try to say, hey, aren't we like the Florida Panthers? No.
We didn't want a President's Trophy. When was the last time the Islanders won a President's Trophy? 19 what? I don't know.
Alan Avatal says here, now that's a superstar, not that piece of crap Horvat. Oh, man. Brooks Koepka going crazy, still off some cocaine. Oh, gosh. The penalty call was pretty lame, to be honest. Oh gosh, you don't like hearing that. So it was kind of like a questionable call.
You don't like to call a penalty with a minute to go in the regulation. I don't know. I didn't see it. Don't know.
Imagine if Yari didn't shit the bed, says TJF.
Yeah, we're not even talking like this now because we don't make the playoffs 2 years in a row. Oh, that's right. Well, that's right. Florida.
Florida wouldn't have made it.
But here's the thing: if Jari didn't shit the bed against us, we don't make the playoffs.
Yep.
That's where he really shit the bed, was against us. Him and DeSmith both. They, out of 3 games, they got 1 point. They should have had all 6.
Well, Grumpy, we're here at the end of the show today. No Islander news is
not.
It's depressing. It's
mystifying.
It's depressing. It's depressing.
True.
But Grumpy, we're here at the end of the show today. What do you want to say before you wrap things up?
I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I hope we can be more positive. Like, we'll get some news. Maybe we're going to get, hey, our new general manager is going to be the young guy from Carolina. You want to see the demeanor on this podcast change in a positive way? You'll see so much positivity. It's hard to fathom. You're going to be like, what the hell show did I just tune into? Just based off of the potential of it being the right guy. Maybe it's not, but you know what? Maybe it is a step in the right direction. And that's what we need to do, is you need to have steps in the right direction. But thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in and watching the show here today. We'll be with you guys live tomorrow on TJ and the Grumpy Old Man at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll also be live on the Islanders Never Say Die podcast on this Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But until then, enjoy the rest of your week. And thank you so much, Grumpy. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you again, Grumpy Old Man.
My pleasure.